Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Moran, and I'm here with Andrew Velez and Joel Dehls, and this is now episode 139. In this episode, we are going to give our Pro Bowl snubs, talk about which teams are contenders or pretenders, if the Jets or Giants have a brighter future, who the Jaguars' next head coach should be, and more. A quick Patreon shout out to Matthew Jimenez, It's Black Ace, Anthony, BJ, PJs, Mario, Langston, Jazzy, Juice, Johannes, Ruben, Brian, Ricky, E, Enzo, Sean Solis, Sean, Muffins, John, Sean Triplet, Court Cousins, Ben Mack, P. Dot, George, Hakari, Mateen, Dave 2 Freedom, and Jay Aqua.
Nope. Not happening. I gotta be more active in the Discord, man. Serge
Discord's
hit me
lit.
up. Yeah, Serge hit me up. Like, I was on it like one night, and Serge is like, bro, you gotta be more active. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna be. That was like a month ago, and I just haven't.
He's checking you, bro.
I know. I've been folding.
checks you.
I've been folding. I got
That's all
to.
right.
Serge's the most active person in this
Yeah,
Discord.
for sure.
Oh, Serge is the most active Pick a Side fan there is. That
Yeah.
being said, he's mad funny about it because he gave me a bunch of garbage for saying good old Jay Aqua. He's like, yo, petition to have Drew stop saying good old Jay Aqua. And he's been messaging me like 2-3 times now. Just say good old Serge Hernandez. I'm blanking on his last name. Good old Serge. And I'm just like, come on, bro. You think I'm gonna do that after you violated?
He's not even a part of the Patreon.
Yeah, facts.
He got to be a part of the Patreon.
He's an
first.
honorable member though.
Yeah, he is.
He is.
He's a valuable Pick a Side member.
No doubt.
For sure.
No doubt.
He's our number one fan, I think.
Definitely.
He's definitely number one fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all love. Before the podcast, we were talking a bit. I can't believe you guys have never seen Naruto.
No, never. I've heard a bunch, like obviously, like the Nine-Tail Saga, all that.
No, I'm not into anime at all.
You're not into anime.
I
That's
haven't
a
seen
fold.
a single
That's a fold.
show,
Your first
episode.
one. Your first one
What
should
it
be Death Note.
Death Note?
Yes.
I have heard good
Death
things
Note
about
is
that. That's on
amazing.
Netflix?
Yes,
Or-
Yeah, it is on Netflix.
but
Okay.
watch it on Hulu because, like, I think the Netflix. I don't know if it's just the movie, but on Hulu it has the dubbed and subbed, and it's every
what?
single episode, dub and sub. So subtitles for it being in
Oh, it's in Japanese or something?
Japanese or Korean. I'm not sure which one.
You could watch it in English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the proper way to watch it, though?
I would probably watch it. You could watch it. You could watch it dubbed, but like the proper way to watch it is sub.
Okay. Can we put that in English?
That's the dub version.
English subtitle.
English
Oh, yeah,
is-
yeah,
Sub is
Subtitle, I get that.
Japanese, but English subtitles.
subtitles.
Dub is they're speaking in English.
Yeah, I'm not into the anime culture at all.
Yeah.
I'm not tuned in.
Nah, but Death Note is fire.
Yeah, the anime
It's
culture.
fire.
If you like dub over sub, you're like considered a casual. It's like
okay.
It's a
the
murder
casual
mystery.
equivalent in
How
like
many seasons?
basketball.
It's
only
one
one.
season, but
Oh,
like
nice,
20-some
nice.
episodes.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's not a huge commitment. I
No.
can get down for that.
Naruto though is amazing.
I know. I'm
People
folding.
out there that are listening, I'm right now. I've been watching because I've basically finished the series. I'm on like where they're facing Madara and stuff like that, which is like
Don't spoil,
which is
bro.
like
If
you
I'm not
spoil,
gonna
I'm gonna
spoil.
be
I'm not gonna
fuming.
spoil. That's like episode like 400 something. So I'm
you're
already
deep.
I'm very deep into it.
How many episodes are there?
I think there's like 500 or
Short?
600.
Do you know the voice of
They're
Naruto?
20 minutes, yeah,
Or-
23 minutes.
I'm pretty positive of this. The voice of Naruto is a woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
She does a lot of voices, actually.
But Naruto ended, but they have Boruto, which is he's Naruto's son, and they have a whole new series dedicated to him, and it's like all the people that are older and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been learning more about Itachi and diving into his story. Man, it's messed up, man. It's just the storylines, how everything connects together is so amazing, bro. It's so amazing.
I know. I need to finish that. I need to finish Dragon Ball Z.
We have to get back up with Power, bro. I've
Bro, we've
heard
been
some crazy
folding.
things. Like
this
it's
season
mad
apparently
good.
is supposed to be fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
We didn't
haven't
finish Raising Kanan
No.
either.
I watched the first season of Ghost, but I haven't watched any of the second season. But that's not as bad because I think they're only a few episodes in.
First
I
season
saw a
of
couple
Ghost was really
spoilers
good.
already for season 2.
Ooh, thank God.
Nothing crazy, but like enough to be like, I wish I didn't see that.
I really
you know?
never know how people get spoiled or things spoiled for them with shows. I never I'm on Twitter as much as the next person.
Yeah.
I never see anything. I'm on TikTok just as
I
much
don't
as the
even know
next
where.
person. Never
Low
see
key, it
it.
might have been like Herb or something put on a story.
Oh, that's foul.
Like
Your
just
own.
on something. Really my own.
Damn.
Bro.
But I'm folding. I haven't been keeping up at all. It's
Facts.
such a good show.
Facts.
This week in the NFL, they announced the Pro Bowl rosters.
Yep.
And I'm going to first name the NFC side of things.
Okay.
And tell me, who do you think was snubbed from the NFC side of things? Because we're going to talk about who's snubbed. We're not going to react to the roster itself. NFC side, the offense: Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, Alvin Kamara, James Conner, Dalvin Cook. fullback Kyle Juszczyk, wide receiver Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, tight end George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, tackle Tyron Smith, Trent Williams, Tristan Wirfs, at guard Ali Marpet, Zach Martin, Brandon Scherf, who's going to be a future Jet, and at center Ryan Jensen and Jason Kelsey. On the offensive side, who was snubbed in the NFC?
Easily Matthew Stafford. Number 2 in total touchdowns, number 3 in yards. It's inexcusable that he didn't make the Pro Bowl. But the guys you listed, they're all solid names, obviously. Tom Brady, who is it? Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray. You could make the argument over Kyler Murray, but fans absolutely love Kyler Murray, me being one of them. Kyler Murray's one of my favorite players.
He should have been over Kyler Murray.
He should have.
He missed too much time for him to be, to make the roster. I know he's not the starter. I'm assuming Tom Brady is the starter.
Yeah.
Have they announced the alternatives? I think they did. They announced some. Because I saw a couple Jets were on it.
Simmons and Surtain were both.
Yeah, Surtain, I saw that too. He could have arguably gone that too.
Simmons should have gotten the nod.
Yeah.
But for sure. We're going to talk about that in the AFC. But Stafford's been excellent this season. And regardless of how you want to look at it, his team is tied for number 1 in the division. He has the numbers for it as well. And Kyler has missed time, so easily.
I agree. Stafford definitely should have been on there. Kyler, if Kyler would have stayed healthy, then it's really no argument. He was arguably being the best quarterback in the NFL pre-injury. Since he's come back, he's kind of come back down to earth, especially completion percentage-wise. I don't know if he's 100% healthy. I mean, we've said it, the same thing last year happened. This is 2 years in a row where Kyler, amazing first half of the season, gets banged up. Second half, it really hasn't been the same. I mean, when you just look at the per game, because you obviously can't take the totality of the stats because of all the missed games, but Matt Stafford has more completions per game, yards per game, touchdowns per game, and less interceptions per game with the higher quarterback rating. So, I mean, just in terms of statistics, he just beat Kyler. I know that's not going to go into it. And it's a fan vote, so it's really hard to really say.
I think it's 1/3 of the vote is fan vote.
Oh, really? I thought it was primarily fan.
It was 1/3 of the vote counts as fan vote.
Did you say Cordell Patterson made it?
No,
I thought he was
didn't.
left off.
That was my
James Conner. James Conner made it.
That was the name I was going to bring
up. I'll give James Conner because James Conner's number 2 in touchdowns this year. So I'm fine with James Conner because he had the production. Alvin missed 4 games. Yeah. Cordero is I think he's the fifth in scrimmage yards. 5th highest total for combined rushing and receiving. That's inexcusable.
And that offense, what would that offense be without Cordell Patterson? And you mentioned Kyle Pitts, who's having, for a tight end, rookie tight ends, we've known year after year, they really don't come in and dominate. It's really that third year where tight ends usually take off. I'm expecting a much better year 2, just because of the athlete, 4th overall pick. Kyle Pitts is a very special type of tight end. But even him seeing that, but you look at the rest of the landscape, who should get in? Dalton Schultz?
Oh, Kyle Pitts deserved it.
I know.
Hawkinson's been pretty solid.
Only other person is Dallas Goedert, bro.
And even still, he's come on later in the season after Ertz got traded.
Kyle Pitts is at 800 plus yards right now. He can get 1,000 as a rookie.
I know. And it's impressive, don't get me wrong, but it's not like Kyle Pitts is coming in and dominating. Cordell Patterson, who's been a journeyman for 10 years, is the focal point of this offense. Not saying that Kyle Pitts should be as a rookie, but I was expecting just a little bit more. He hasn't got the touchdowns. He has 1 touchdown all season. I expect that to change next year.
On the offensive side, I agree with you guys. I think Stafford and Cordell Patterson were definitely snubbed from the Pro Bowl. I would remove James Conner, though, not Kamara. I know that James Conner has the touchdowns.
He looks so good this year.
He looks amazing, receiving really and rushing the football.
I know he has the touchdowns, but I don't know, man. I can't take out Kamara. I can't.
I understand the logic between it. He's missed 4 games. That alone should just take you out of the conversation.
And Matthew Stafford...
Again, but I'm keeping consistent with it, too.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
And Matthew Stafford over Kyler for me. Now on defense, Nick Bosa, Cameron Jordan, Brian Burns, defensive ends, defensive tackle, Aaron Donald, Kenny Clark, Jonathan Allen, outside linebacker, Shaquille Barrett, Chandler Jones, Robert Quinn, inside linebackers, Micah Parsons, Bobby Wagner, and corners, Trayvon Diggs, Marshawn Lattimore, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, and at free safety, Quadre Diggs. Now on Twitter, there was a big deal made out of A.J. Terrell not making the Pro Bowl.
That's the biggest one.
But my question is, who are you taking out for A.J. Terrell? I've heard Trayvon Diggs. You can't take out the guy who has 10 interceptions, 10-plus interceptions this season. You can't take him out. So A.J. Terrell can't go over him. You can't take out Jalen Ramsey either.
Hell no.
Marshawn Lattimore has been damn good this year. Amazing. I don't know if I could take him out for Terrell. It's between Darius Slay and A.J. Terrell.
Yeah.
And I think Darius Slay has made more game-changing plays than A.J. Terrell
Big play
in terms of intercepting the ball, because how many interceptions does AJ Terrell have on the season?
The one big one that comes out was against Denver. That ridiculous. It was a fumble, I want to say, though. Right? It wasn't an interception, but still, that was one of the most impressive plays we've seen all season. I think the biggest name that sticks out that didn't make it was Devondre Campbell, though. I mean, he's arguably the best linebacker, inside linebacker in the league this year, and he somehow didn't make the Pro Bowl roster. A lot of these, though, it's just, like we said, 1/3 is the fan vote, so a lot of it's going to be, what names do you know more than, like, the actual play on the field.
That's facts.
Especially for defense where, offense, it's a lot easier to look at yards, touchdowns. It's a lot easier on offense to see if a receiver is good compared to a linebacker or if a corner is good. So that's just another thing you have to take into when you're looking at these Pro Bowl votes.
AJ Terrell has 2 interceptions on the year. Slay has 3. He has 9 passes defended. Terrell has 14.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. So
it's close.
Yeah,
it's close.
If someone was gonna be left out from the cornerback group in the NFC, it's Darius Slay for AJ Terrell.
People saying Trayvon Diggs is so disrespectful.
Yeah,
it is. Trayvon Diggs is doing something historic right now. That
10 interceptions is nuts.
Yeah.
The record's 14.
Was it Night Train?
Yes, 14.
I think Trayvon has 11.
No, he has 10.
He has 10 flat.
Yeah, the 10
flat
against the Giants last week. Yeah, facts.
Wow. That is amazing. For me,
I didn't hate the defensive list other than AJ Terrell.
I hated some of it.
Yeah?
I think
Campbell was a huge
facts.
snub.
That's a fact.
Here are my snubs on the defensive side. I think Marcus Davenport should have gotten in over Brian Burns. I think Marcus Davenport has been playing better than Brian Burns all season. I think Rashawn Gary should have got in over Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn, I know he's a fine defensive player, but Rashawn Gary, in the absence of Zadarius Smith, has really stepped up this year. And Devondre Campbell, like you mentioned, Micah Parsons deserved it. Bobby Wagner, he's having a fantastic year, but Bobby Wagner got in because of name brand recognition. He's not having a better year than Devondre Campbell this year. Devondre Campbell has been a top 3 linebacker this season. And another guy that, I think was snubbed was AJ Terrell, and that's probably it. I was trying to think of a safety because Quadre Diggs, I know he's a good player, but when I watch Quadre Diggs play, I don't really look at a Pro Bowl player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what other free safeties were in the NFC that he got in at free safety.
I really don't watch much Seahawks football other than I just saw him get an interception against Matthew Stafford.
It definitely wasn't Jamal, I'll tell you that. You already know that.
No, facts though. But Jamal's strong. He's free.
Yeah, that's true. He's a linebacker, let's be honest.
Who, Jamal?
Yeah,
definitely.
So you got no other snubs for the NFC.
No.
So on to the AFC.
I didn't hate it, honestly.
Offense, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, Jonathan Taylor, Patrick Ricard, Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Orlando Brown, Deion Dawkins, Rashawn Slater, Joel Bitonio, Quentin Nelson, Wyatt Teller, Ryan Kelly, and Corey Linsley. Who was snubbed on the offensive side?
I think one of the biggest ones, receiver, was Deontay. I thought Deontay should have got in probably over Keenan. He has 6 less receptions than Keenan, but he has more yards, more touchdowns, more yards after the catch. He's actually 8th in the NFL in yards after the catch. And he also has 6 broken tackles, which is honestly kind of surprised me. I always thought as Deontay is more of a speed guy, but he showed that he's, we think of the first person that comes to mind is A.J. Brown in terms of like toughness after the catch. Keenan Allen only has 1 broken tackle on the season, which surprised me.
Stephon Diggs has better stats than Keenan Allen?
No, he does. He has more touchdowns. He doesn't have more yards, but he has more yards per reception.
The guy that I would have taken out Stephon Diggs for Deontay Johnson.
Okay.
And I feel like
Keenan also has 6 drops, which is like top 10 in the league. We know for him being short-handed, and that's really regressed this season.
Deontay has 1 more target, but Keenan Allen has 6 more receptions. Deontay has more yards, more yards per reception. His longest reception is longer, but that's really irrelevant. Has 1 more touchdown.
Yeah.
It's really close, but you're not too far off with Diggs.
True. Yeah.
Diggs, he has 4 more catches. He has, quick maths, 7 more targets. He has more yards than he does. Okay. Stephon Diggs' yards per reception is 0.3 higher than Deontay's, and he has 2 more touchdowns.
Keenan also really came along since the bye week because earlier in the year he was not playing that well. Yeah. Mike Williams was the focal point in that passing offense, and Deontay's been really consistent all year.
The 2 guys that were snubbed from the AFC Pro Bowl, Joe Burrow. He should have been over Lamar Jackson.
For sure.
I know that Lamar Jackson carries the Ravens, but Joe Burrow has been better this year than Lamar. It is what it is. And Jeffrey Simmons. I'm looking at the list right here. Chris Jones, I think has been better than Jeffrey Simmons, even though he's missed some time. Cameron Hayward as well. DeForest Buckner has not been better than Jeffrey Simmons this year.
Not at all.
Jeffrey Simmons should have been in the Pro Bowl over DeForest Buckner. Those are my two snubs right there.
The one thing I would say is Burrow has 14 interceptions. That's the one thing. He leads the league in interceptions. That's the one thing that holds me back because Lamar hasn't had a good statistical season. And even the second half of the year, it seems like he has regressed. Now he has this ankle injury. So that's the only thing I push back on. But the one we didn't mention was Austin Eckler as well.
There we go.
I thought he could probably get in over Joe Mixon. He has he's 6th in total scrimmage yards, 4th in rushing touchdowns, 2nd in total touchdowns, just behind Jonathan Taylor. The only thing Mixon has in him is just more rushing yards, which is expected. Mixon is the workhorse back who's going to get 20, 25 touches each week, so it doesn't surprise me.
I was going to say, for Joe Burrow, I wish we could keep track of how many interceptions were tip passes, because the one that sticks out crystal clear to me is the one that he has over the top to Jamar, has a touchdown, but instead Jamar fumbles it, goes into the defender's hands.
Yeah.
And then Austin Eckler, 100%, I agree. Joe Mixon's having a great season, and it was a matter of time until he got his respect, but Austin Eckler has been doing everything for the Chargers this season.
Man, I like Austin Eckler a lot. I'm not sure if I could put him over Joe Mixon, though. That's a tough call for me.
They're both great.
Nick Chubb, you can't. Jonathan Taylor is
yeah.
he's the best player in football for skill positions this season.
But Nick Chubb, how many games has he missed?
I think he's only missed 2.
Yeah.
I think he's only missed 2.
But the last few games, he's been struggling, really.
And Dearness Johnson, he came in and had a fantastic game.
That line is solid.
Yeah,
anyone
great.
who's going to rush behind that line is going to be great. However, when Nick Chubb is back there, he's the best player on the team.
I gave one of my defensive subs already, so I'll just talk about the defense real quick. Defensive side, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson made it. DeForest Buckner, Cameron Hayward, and Chris Jones, Joey Bosa, Matt Judon, TJ Watt, Darius Leonard, Denzel Perriman, Xavier Howard, JC Jackson, Kenny Moore, Denzel Ward, Kevin Byard, Derwin James, and Tyrann Mathieu.
A solid list.
I'll tell you what, the only ones that I have an issue with, Justin Simmons not making it hurts me.
Facts.
Kevin Byard has been great this season. I just think Justin Simmons is...
He hasn't been better. Kevin Byard has been better.
Byard's been great.
Byard has been better.
But it's not like Simmons has been a slouch. That being said, I had obviously Justin Simmons as my guy. He has more sacks than DeForest Buckner, more tackles than DeForest Buckner. I feel like he right now is probably the third best.
Jeffrey,
excuse me. What did I say? Isaiah?
Justin.
Excuse me. Oh, Justin?
Yeah.
Because I'm just talking about my guy. That being said, he's been spectacular this year. I'm thinking that he might have gotten the nod. And Pat Surtain has been locked up to the point where Justin says that he completely leaves that side of the field just for him. He has no doubt that he's going to lock that side up. It would have been tough to get rid of some guys. However, you could make the debate that Denzel Ward should not have made it over.
I was going to say Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore's been solid this season.
Yeah,
he's been solid.
He has a lot of interceptions too.
He has as many tackles as he's had last season already this season. He has 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
He's been good, but Surtain has been great as well.
Awuzie should have probably got a nod.
Probably.
Awuzie has been really good.
He has been really good. I just don't know if I'm giving him maybe Denzel Ward. He has the name value, but I don't know if he gets the nod for corner over Surtain or even Awuzie for that matter.
They might just give Surtain do it another year type of thing. He's a rookie. I don't know if they just want to put him on that first year because the only rookie, Micah Parsons, is that it? Jamar Chase, obviously,
Facts.
yeah. But those two, I think those are the only two rookies
Rashawn
that we've
Slater.
said. Slater. Okay, so there's been a few. That's fair.
Creed Humphrey should have been in.
That was
Yeah.
another snub.
Yeah.
Yep.
Creed Humphrey was
Creed
definitely
Humphrey's been
snubbed.
What were the
phenomenal
O-lines
this
for
Ryan Kelly and Corey Lindsley.
Corey Lindsey?
Yeah,
I'm fine with.
Ryan
Ryan Kelly's
Rice.
another beast.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard.
I know that is tough.
I would probably put Creed Humphrey over
They probably have
Ryan
a
Kelly
tiebreaker.
right now, though.
The guys who are veterans been in the league longer over the rookie. Creed Humphrey's gonna have plenty of years.
And Jonathan Taylor having the numbers that he's having, they're going to give some credit to that O-line as well.
Yeah, for sure. Quentin Nelson made it, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, of
I don't know.
course.
Yeah. So there's no doubt that some players got left off, but that happens every single year. So I just want you guys to recap the ones that you named that were snubbed from.
Okay.
So NFC, these are our NFC players that were snubbed from the Pro Bowl. I'll start with you, Joe.
So the biggest ones were, I think, Cordell Patterson. Cordell's just a little bit hard because, again, who do you put over him? But just the focal point of the offense. He does everything for that team, rushing, receiving. If they're winning or losing, he's the focal point. I would have had Stafford over Kyler Murray, and I also would have had Devontae Campbell in.
Over Bobby Wagner?
Remind me the linebackers again?
Bobby Wagner, Micah Parsons.
Yeah. Over Bobby.
Okay, Matty Staffy's the obvious one over Kyler for me. Just because Kyler missed some time. No disrespect to Kyler. Matty Staffy has just been dominant. Number 2 in touchdowns, number 3 in total yards. He's been great. Cordero Patterson, that's probably my biggest running back snub. Whatever you want to call him, running back, wide receiver. He's been more so the running back for the Falcons. He's been great, 5th highest total in combined yards this season. And defensively, I have A.J. Terrell making over Darius Slay. A.J. Terrell, probably the biggest defensive snub for the NFC.
For me, I'm going with 2 Green Bay Packers and 1 New Orleans Saints. Marcus Davenport over Brian Burns. I think Marcus Davenport has had the better season. Rashawn Gary over Robert Quinn. I think in Zadarius Smith's absence, Rashawn Gary has been a beast this season.
Sure.
He should have got in. And Devondre Campbell, like you mentioned, over Bobby Wagner. Now for the AFC. Who are your snubs?
So mine was, we just mentioned it, Deontay Johnson. If you want to put him over Keenan or Stephon Diggs, I really don't have a problem either way. I probably would lean a little bit Keenan, but I'm not really sold too strongly either way. Also have Austin Eckler over Joe Mixon. And I believe those were really the only 2 offensively. I forgot. I feel like we talked about one other one, but I can't remember.
Joe Burrow, probably. That's probably my biggest snub for quarterback.
Interceptions. But
again, there's been a lot of tip passes this season for the Cincinnati Bengals, excuse me. And Lamar Jackson, he's been spotty.
He has been.
Throwing the football, it's night and day. You're leaning Burrow, but obviously Lamar is so much more effective with his legs than with his arm. And Lamar's been told to do a little bit more than what Joe Burrow has to do. But Joe Burrow's been great, number 1 in the division right now. Definitely a lot of credit should go to Joe Burrow. Austin Eckler, like you mentioned, number 2 in total touchdowns this year for a running back. Has more total scrimmage yards than Joe Mixon does right now. But I can understand Joe Mixon getting the nod. It's his time, and he deserves it. For the receiver, you nailed it. Deontay Johnson. Keenan Allen, to start this season, was definitely questionable. He's come on these last few weeks, but Deontay has been consistent throughout the entirety of the year. Has more receiving yards than he does. Has more touchdowns than Keenan Allen does. Just doesn't have as many receptions in. Deontay's been very consistent. No, very minimal drops as well.
Only 3.
Keenan Allen is among the top of the league in terms of drops, and Deontay only has 3, like you mentioned.
You guys mentioned the ones that I was going to mention, so I'll mention the ones you guys didn't mention. Jeffrey Simmons, to me, should have been over DeForest Buckner.
Definitely.
I think Jeffrey Simmons has been a top 5 defensive tackle this season. And DeForest Buckner, last year, he had a Pro Bowl season. This year, he has not had the same season. Jeffrey Simmons should have been over him. And I'm kind of up and down on the Kenny Moore one, but I understand it, so I'll let it rock. Mm-hmm. So those are our Pro Bowl snubs. Now, this is where things are going to get a little bit freaky.
Okay.
Hello.
Contenders and Pretenders.
Here we go.
We are heading towards week 16 in the NFL, and that means that we kind of have a picture of what teams are going to make the playoffs and which ones are not. So we're going to tell you guys which teams we think are contenders or pretenders. We'll name the teams that are currently in the playoffs right now. Unless you think one of the teams outside of the race is a contender, you can mention them. But we'll start out with the AFC. AFC contenders or pretenders. Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, come on. Contenders.
They got to be.
I think they're contenders too.
For sure. Yeah.
Mahomie.
I mean,
that's the guy. That's the guy.
I said it last week, and it was crystal clear in that exact same day. That Thursday night game, the defense had dominated from quarters 1 through 3. Quarter 4, they needed Mahomes to step up, and what did he do? In fourth quarter and overtime, had 3 combined touchdowns, was fantastic. He took over that game. He's the reason they won.
No, I agree. Their defense has been great all year long, and I think the Chargers game was a statement game that they made that, okay, you knocked our defense because of the competition we face, but now we're facing the Chargers, a explosive offense, and we held them in check for virtually most of the game, and that was without Chris Jones, their best defensive player. Nick Bolton was huge, man. That guy is like a lightning bolt. He is legit. He's a big deal. New England Patriots.
Yeah, how are they not? They have arguably the best defense in the league, the best head coach in the league, Mac Jones. We were all watching the game at Drew's for his birthday. We were having a fun time. Joel was rooting for Mac pretty hard, while the rest of the room was rooting for Jonathan Taylor for fantasy. But yeah, the Patriots, they're contenders. I mean, they're top 3 team in the AFC.
This is tough for me personally, because obviously defensively they're like that. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. Offensively, I get a little concerned. I just think that there are solid defenses in the AFC right now. You have the Chiefs. You have the Colts. Bills defense aren't slouches, even though in the run game where New England definitely does strive, that's probably the Bills' biggest weakness as of right now. I just think there's teams that can stop the Patriots. And offensively, the Chargers, the Chiefs can score against the Patriots. The Colts can score against the Patriots like we saw on Saturday night. I just don't think that they're contenders for the championship. I don't want to say pretenders is so strong.
Pretenders is foul.
You know what I'm trying to say? It's obviously they're one of the best teams in the AFC right now. I just don't think that they're a true contender for the Super Bowl.
But I think the only way they get screwed in the playoffs is if they go down big early. And what team, other than like the Chiefs that we've seen in previous years, like the Texans come to mind, obviously a couple of years ago, what team, if you don't go down 21 early, like there's only a select teams that could really do it. That's the only scenario, what happened against the Colts when you get down big and Mac Jones has come back from 20 points in the second half, and he made some really good throws. I'm sure you'll get into it.
He did almost come back.
He did almost come back. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor at the end blew it away, and the score was a lot larger than the actual game was, especially in the second half. But if the Patriots could keep it close, which I'm going to expect they're going to keep almost every game close against all these teams, because I know Bill Belichick's going to have a great scheme no matter he's playing the Chiefs, the Bills, whoever it is. Yep. The games are going to be close. So unless the Patriots somehow just get blown out early in the first half like we saw against the Colts, they're going to be right up in there with for a championship.
That's mainly my concern. Let's say a team goes up early on them. I don't know if I trust Mac Jones this early into his career to come back from 14, 20 points down. Immediately, yes. He does not have the weapons to do so right now.
I just think they have the defense, the coaching staff, the schemes to just limit that as much as possible.
I agree with that sentiment.
Looking at the Patriots, I think they're contenders, man. They were my sleeper for a while now, and they finally woken up a lot of the NFL universe. When talking about going down, I agree with your point. I think more so, I'm worried about the Patriots if they play in bad climate. Because is it going to be like another Buffalo Bills game where they don't trust Mac Jones to throw the ball more than 3 times? How is it going to be? And playing in Gillette Stadium in New England, I mean, that's you're going to get bad weather, so Mac Jones has to get used to that.
But are you more worried about them playing in bad weather than getting in a shootout with Kansas City or something? Like, I wouldn't really mind, because we saw New England have...
In weather like the Buffalo game weather?
That's what I'm saying. We saw New England say,
I'm more
screw
worried
it.
about that.
Like, I'll run the ball 95% of snaps, and we'll be a divisional team on the road. And they didn't have a problem with doing it.
I'm more worried about that weather.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm more worried about if they have to play. I mean, Kansas City's not a dome, but like Kansas City and it's nice weather, and they're going.
Kansas City is a cold weather too.
It is.
Sorry, that's what I meant. I apologize. Yeah, obviously Kansas City could have bad weather. I'm more worried about that and having the Chiefs have to catch up with the Chiefs rather than because if they're in a low scoring game and they have to rely on defense and run game. What team in the AFC do you trust more than the Patriots to do that?
I'm not necessarily talking about cold weather.
Fair.
I'm talking about like conditions where you can't really throw the ball. So cold weather, but you can still throw it. Okay, I trust the Patriots. Mac Jones, I do think has an it factor. I think he is capable of coming from behind versus the Colts. If it wasn't for the Colts' dominant offensive line creating the biggest hole, as big as a black hole for Jonathan Taylor, I mean, what happens there? I mean, I think Braxton Berrios could have scored a touchdown on that right there. So Mac Jones and the Patriots, I still trust them. The Colts loss wasn't a big deal to me. But this Sunday, they have a big test against the Bills. That's going to be a tough and rugged game.
Definitely.
And we'll see more of the Patriots there. Titans, contenders or pretenders?
This one is interesting given the fact that A.J. Brown's coming back.
Julio got banged up, though, last week.
He's coming back, too.
He's expected to play tonight?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought he wasn't.
I won't say that they're pretenders if Derrick Henry comes back week 18 and Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. If that's the case and all their guys are healthy, we see what their defense can do when they have the offensive pieces around them to give them a little bit of leniency on that side of the ball. I only say contenders if they're fully healthy. If Derrick Henry doesn't come back, they're pretenders for sure. I have the Colts over them. I have the Patriots over them. I have the Chiefs over them. That's pretty easy too.
I think they're pretenders. I just think there's other teams in the AFC that are clearly better than them. And even though Derrick Henry might come back, A.J. Brown's coming back this week, it's a huge help. I've just never really been a big believer in the Titans the whole season. I don't think they could beat the Chiefs. I don't think they could beat the Colts. It's a divisional game, so I guess that is a little bit closer than we're expecting. The Bills is 50-50. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of teams, not even a lot. I just don't really trust the Titans, man. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just have that feeling that I don't see them winning more than one playoff game.
Mike Vrabel might be the most underrated coach
He
in the
is a great
NFL.
coach. Yeah, for sure. I'll give him that.
I'm 50-50 on this team, man.
Me too.
I'm going to call them Pretenders.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the Patriots.
I think, it's just the Titans. Their defense is better than what the stats show. They're a really tough defense. And when they face elite competition, they really show out. And they're getting healthy. But my problem is the chemistry and continuity. They still have some huge problems. That offensive line isn't good in pass blocking, at least. And even though Derrick Henry, he's expected to come back, Deontay Foreman, man, he's looked like Derrick Henry.
Oh God!
You look at Foreman's body type, and
he's a big dude.
The sleeve that he wears. I mean, man, he looks like Derrick Henry to me.
He's a beast.
If I didn't know nothing about football, you compare them side by side, I think they look the same to me. Deontay Foreman has been really good, but I understand Derrick Henry, he's the Hall of Fame running back.
Exactly. Yes. He's the best running back in the league.
But that offensive line isn't very good. And against these good pass rushes like Kansas City with Chris Jones back, New England, Buffalo doesn't have one, but the Colts, they're iffy on that end as well. I just think it's going to be hard for them. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is the same efficient quarterback that he has been these past 2 years. I think he's a bit trigger happy because that offensive line doesn't give him much time, and I think he's regressed as a quarterback. But they're right in the middle for me. If they get healthy and start building continuity, I can trust them. But to this point, when Tannehill has played with Julio hasn't done anything. Julio hasn't done anything this season, so he is just like a brand name thus far right now.
It'll be interesting to see because I don't think they've all played together since week 9. So I do want to see a little bit, how does Julio look as the wide receiver 2 with A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry? And, I really don't think defenses are that, worried about Julio at this point in his career, but I am interested to see what his role is and how he could thrive being the wide receiver 2 and not the focal point. But the thing about
that is that when they made the trade for Julio, we all thought it was going to be great because we envisioned A.J. and Julio as number ones. And Julio has not been a number 1 this year.
I envisioned him more as a 2. I thought AJ was going to be the clear 1 there.
I don't know, man. It's Julio Jones. You can't count him out regardless. But obviously, hindsight is crystal clear of 2020, and Julio has not looked a shell of who we've known Julio Jones to be. A.J. Brown, same thing. When he's on the field, he's super effective, one of the better wide receivers in the league. But that's been a concern of his up until this point in his career as well. Can he stay on the field, be that guy? When he's on the field, he is that dude, but it's a matter of him actually being out there. I can't give a full assessment on Ryan Tannehill until I see the guys out there. The last 2 seasons from Ryan Tannehill, he's been spectacular. Off the weapons that he has to deal with right now, the number 1 running back in the league gone. His wide receiver 1 gone. Julio in and out of the lineup all year long. You lose Jonnu Smith. You lose Corey Davis as well. It's tough for me to really say he's regressed given the fact that his O-line gives him no time and he has no weapons that he's been accustomed to.
Cincinnati Bengals, contenders or pretenders?
I think they're a year away.
Okay.
I don't think they're contenders just yet. I'm not sure. I don't know how much I trust Zach Taylor. Like, I like the personnel right? Offensively and defensively, I like the personnel. I just don't know how much I trust Joe Burrow. I trust Joe Burrow. It's more of a Zach Taylor issue. It's more of a Zach Taylor issue to me because you have a running back in Joe Mixon who, if you are winning or need to eat the clock, he's one of the best workhorses in the league. Jamar Chase has struggled a ton in the second half of the season. We were originally going to talk about that. We'll probably get into it at some point in the future. But Jamar Chase has struggled a ton in the second half with drops, really not being able to. He's been able to create separation, but just not putting up the numbers or productivity that we've seen in the past. And T. Higgins has stepped up in his absence. Tyler Boyd just had a really good game. I just think this team's probably another year away, especially just get Zach Taylor a little bit accustomed to winning. This organization, again, accustomed to winning because this is the first time in a while where they're going to be in the playoffs. They're division-leading team right now. So I'm putting them as the pretenders, but they're a fun team to watch.
It's another team that I do like and I do think has a really bright future, but I don't think this year is their year to make a push. I just think overall there's teams that are better. Offensively, there's defenses that can stop them. Broncos are one of the better defenses in the league for sure. That being said, 15 points against us, you need to do better. You need to do better than that. Jamar Chase was basically a non-factor against us. T. Higgins was another non-factor. It was really the Tyler Boyd show. He definitely stepped up, but that just goes to show you the depth that they have at the wide receiver position. Joe Mixon.
Auden Tate's on IR.
I'm waiting.
I don't know what
okay, sorry. I was waiting for the Auden Tate reference.
I didn't say anything.
Auden Tate's on IR. Wait till he comes back. You're gonna see.
He's coming back this year?
I don't know if he's gonna come back, but if he do come back, you better watch out.
Joe Mixon really didn't do much against us, so it just goes to show
he got banged up too.
That's facts. And Samaje Perine he had an all right game also, but I'm not worried about Samaje Perine as opposed to obviously Joe Mixon. I like their offense. Their defense, they don't necessarily have a true weakness, but I just don't think that they have the personnel to match up against the Kansas City, to match up against the Colts. I'm super high on the Colts if you haven't been able to tell yet. And New England, for that matter. Offensively, I think that they definitely can compete, but New England's defense, they can stop Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
The Bengals are pretenders, and it's because they don't excel in one area. They're good in a bunch of ones, but they don't excel in one. Quarterback play is the only one that they really excel at. Wide receivers, if Jamar Chase is first half of the season Chase, then yeah, that's an elite group. But with him regressing in the second half, they're a good group. They're not exceptional though. At tight end and offensive line, they're just okay. You know, they're average. And you look at the defensive line. The defensive line is the only part of the defense I see that okay, they're a good to great group. But then the secondary linebackers, they're just good. I mean, they're not great. They don't have game changers on that side of the ball. So they need to work this offseason to get a game changer on that side, on either side. And even another offensive lineman would help because that offensive line is below average. I mean, it's looked better than advertised because they have so many weapons on the outside, but they're not a very good group. So I think they are, like you said, they're a year away. They need to work in the offseason on getting an offensive lineman, a game changer on defense, and then I think they can make a push. But this is also, like I said, this is a balanced team, so they can give any team a fight.
No doubt about that.
And now up next, the Indianapolis Colts. I'll just go first and I'll say that I think they're contenders because, like the Bengals, they're a balanced team, but they excel in areas. They excel at running the ball. They have an exceptional run blocking offensive line. Their defense has been a top 10 defense this year, but I wanted to go first because I wanted to give you guys the floor in this when talking about the Colts because you guys have been high on the Colts for weeks now, but you guys have never made it a take. It's always been, oh, I'm throwing this idea out there a little bit, but you've never been like, you know what? This is the team.
This is the team. Kansas City, you can never count them out. You know what I'm saying? Again, their defense has been the highlight of their team this season. And the fact that they have Mahomes at quarterback makes me extra scared that if their defense is what's been their strong point and Mahomes is the quarterback of that team, they could beat any team in the NFL. The Colts, why I can't put them over the Chiefs in that sense or feel extra confident in choosing the Colts to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl is that they don't have the weapons on the outside to contend with the Chiefs. They in my opinion, they're the second best team in the AFC right now. I just look at the Chiefs. They've been there. They have the defense. They have the quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, running back. They really do have it all. You just look at the Colts. They have the best running back in football, have arguably the best line in football. Quarterback, he's been solid, more than solid. Carson Wentz has been very good, probably one of the more not talked about things, doing what he's been doing the year after they completely counted him out. Credit to Carson Wentz. Mike Pittman's their only option on the outside. T.Y. Hilton, if he can stay in the lineup, he's a serviceable dude for sure. But Zach Pascal is not a number 2 option for me. Their tight ends, Mo Alley Cox is a big-bodied dude, but other than that,
red zone target.
Correct. I just think that their weakness is the wide receiver, and I don't want to say that it'll be the reason why they lose, but it's the reason why I can't go all in and saying they're my clear choice.
So you said earlier you were worried about how you don't know if you trust Mac Jones, right, to come back if they get down big.
Correct.
Do you trust Carson Wentz if they go down big and Jonathan Taylor, they can't give him the ball 25 times. You could use him in the passing game,
Correct.
sure, but does Carson Wentz have to come back and win a game in the second half? How do you feel about him?
I don't doubt Carson Wentz's ability to do so. It's more so the personnel. Same thing with the Patriots. My issue is that not with Mac Jones, but the personnel. I don't mind Kendrick Bourne. I don't mind Nelson Aguilar, but are these...
You love Kendrick Bourne, let's be honest.
Correct.
Okay.
But these aren't... I'm not going to disrespect Hunter Henry, who just had a really good game against the Colts. Jonnu Smith's really solid, but these aren't game-changing players. Game-changing is Tyreek Hill. Game-changing is Travis Kelce.
They have Jonathan Taylor. He's game-changing.
He's the game-changing player for sure. But again, if you're saying they're going down, unless we're there incorporating him in the passing game, which is a possibility, he is that type of ball player where he is lined up in the slot position and been that type of versatile player for the Colts. I don't doubt Carson Wentz's ability there, but the personnel as in the totality of things does concern me.
I don't trust Carson Wentz, and that's the biggest thing with the Colts. Their running game is elite. We know that, but Carson Wentz has been good this year, but he's completing just above 60% of his passes. I mean, he hasn't been this accurate machine. He hasn't been this rifle. He really hasn't. And you mentioned the weapons. Tight ends, they don't have game changers. Wide receivers outside of Michael Pittman, who else can you really count on? Even T.Y. Hilton. Even if T.Y. Hilton is healthy, he is not who he once was, not in the slightest. That's why I can't really trust the Colts. I know their defense is going to put up a fight against any team. Their running game is going to be hard to stop, but if that goes away, the Colts are a very vulnerable team.
Did Darius Leonard make the Pro Bowl? I don't know if I heard his name.
Who?
Darius Leonard. I feel like if we didn't mention that, I feel like that's a pretty big.
He didn't make it.
Okay, I was gonna say he's having a great year.
But Wentz has been solid this year. Top 10 in touchdowns, tied for fourth. He has 6 interceptions on the year. That's fourth lowest in the league. He's 6 in QBR. His yards are the only thing that's not there. But again, they're run oriented.
Yeah, I mean this game against the Patriots, he was terrible. I mean,
he didn't need to do much.
Fair, given he had 12 attempts.
And Trent Cannon made the Pro Bowl.
Trent Cannon, anywho.
Darius Leonard you said he made it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Rightfully so.
Trent Cannon.
Because, Jet legend. I remember him at the green and white game, man, like 2018. I saw him. I was like, yo, he's got juice, and he turned into nothing. If you don't know, he's a Jets he's a running back / kick returner.
Put respect on his name.
So he made it as a return specialist?
Did he actually?
He probably did, yeah. He did. He made the Pro Bowl. So.
I thought you were screwing with me.
No, he really did make the Pro Bowl.
Oh,
yeah, he's on the Colts.
Honestly, I thought you were fucking with me. That's funny, though. But to get back to Carson Wentz, he had, like you said, he didn't have to do much, but still 5 for 12, 57 yards, a touchdown, interception. Like, you're going against New England. I want to see a little something that just in case you do have to come back in a game against an elite defense, I would like to see a little bit more from Carson Wentz. He did make a couple nice plays. This was Jonathan Taylor's show, though. I mean, he had, 170 yards, that huge touchdown run at the end of the game that really sealed it. But I think the Colts are contenders for sure. I don't see a team because they could just control the clock. They could keep Mahomes off the field. They could keep New England off the field. They could keep whatever team they're playing off the field. And if you could eat 8 minutes off a clock and just put away basically half of an entire quarter, and Mahomes doesn't have the chance to get that last drive at the end of the first half or at the end of the game, that's completely different. And that's something that almost no team has except for Derrick Henry and the Titans when they're healthy.
Next team, LA Chargers. What are they? I feel like they're the mystery of the bunch.
For me personally, they're pretenders. I think Herbert obviously has the talent to be a difference maker in a playoff game for sure. Defensively, I can't really trust them. Their secondary had been their strong point up until this point. That being said, Derwin James goes out and he gets banged up. We see the difference he makes when he's in and out of the lineup. Travis Kelce was a basically non-factor when Derwin was in the game. Derwin leaves. Travis Kelce ends up with almost 200 yards receiving. The game-winning touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns on the game. If Derwin's not there, the secondary's toast, and their run defense basically all season outside of these last couple weeks has been their biggest liability defensively. So I think as a whole, I have to say pretenders.
I think they're contenders. I think the Chargers are one of those teams that could get hot at the end of the year and go on a run because you have an elite quarterback, right? Justin Herbert, borderline top 5 quarterback. I love their head coach. Like, I know that he got a lot of slack for going on 4th down, but like, I don't care. Like,
I love
if
that.
He's like, this is who we are. Like, we're going to go for it on 4th down. We're going to be aggressive. I don't care what anyone thinks. Like, at least he's sticking to his guns, and that's what he's going with.
Hell yeah.
But like what you were saying, the first 8 games of the season, the rush defense was terrible. They were allowing over 160 yards per game. But over the past 6 games, they're averaging just 101 yards per game, which would be 7th best in the NFL. So they've really turned around the second half of the year in terms of being able to stop the run. And their pass evens, like you said, they did. Derwin James did get banged up. I'm not sure. Is he expected to miss extended period of time or anything?
I just saw him leave the game and not return.
Because their pass evens has been 10th best in the league so far in terms of yards allowed. Guys like you mentioned, Derwin James, Chris Harris, Asante Samuel Jr. They're terrible on 3rd down. They're the worst or one of the worst teams on 3rd down, worse than the Jets. I put that in my notes because I was like, if you're worse than the Jets in something, you got to be pretty damn bad. But then offensively, I mean, what's there to say? They have an elite downfield option in Mike Williams. Keenan Allen, a Pro Bowler, even though we think Deontay should be over him, still one of the better possession receivers in the league. Austin Eckler, again, someone who also got snubbed, dual threat running back out of the backfield. And then their offensive line, Rashawn Slater has been amazing. Corey Linsley has been amazing. So I think they're a team that is a little sneaky right now. Not a lot of people are talking about them. The Colts were originally my sleeper team earlier in the year, but I'm kind of leaning now towards they've woken people up. Everyone knows about the Colts now. The Chargers are kind of more my sleeper team now to go to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
The Chargers, to me, are contenders because Justin Herbert is their quarterback. He's their signal caller. And whenever you have a great quarterback, you have a chance, especially when you have the right parts around him. And that's every team that has a great quarterback, that's where they have to maximize the quarterback's potential by putting pieces around him. And they've done just that. We know the big names like Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, but they got Jared Cook, who has been playing pretty similarly to Hunter Henry. He's been just as productive as him. And you also have Jalen Guyton and Josh Palmer, who have been huge in run blocking and also just
Josh
being
Palmer
deep threats.
is a big body. I did not know he was that big.
Yeah, he's really big.
solid.
Big boy.
He is. That's why, who knows if they'll bring back Mike Williams next year.
He is a free agent.
He's a free agent, so Josh
He
Palmer
could get franchised possibly.
Josh Palmer, if he keeps developing, he can be in that role. And then defensively, they have game changers. Joey Bosa is a game changer.
Yeah, mentioned Joey Bosa.
Derwin James is a game changer. They have game changers. And their run defense, I'm not too sure what it's been and why it's turned around this much. It could be because Jerry Tillery got better, and earlier in the season he wasn't that good, or maybe Justin Jones is playing a bit more. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it has gotten way better. And they're contenders for me on the sole fact that they have Justin Herbert.
Yeah, if you have a top 5 quarterback, you're always going to be in any game at any time. We saw with Mahomes, doesn't matter. We're down 28 to the Texans in the first half. It doesn't matter. You're in every game.
And the next team here, the Buffalo Bills. Early in the season, I picked the Bills to make it out the AFC, but it's not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is because the Bills are an average team, and it's masked because they have an elite quarterback. That's why, but they're an average team. Their weapons outside of Stephon Diggs, they're average. Their running backs are average. Their offensive line is average. Their pass rush, their defensive line is average. Their secondary, without Trey White, they're average. I mean, this is an average football team. The best groups on their team are at linebacker and at safety. And quarterback, obviously, and then they just have Stephon Diggs. But they're an average football team. Emmanuel Sanders, they were hoping they were going to get something out of him. He really hasn't been what they thought he was going to be. Gabriel Davis, I mean, he's just producing off the sole fact that Josh Allen is your quarterback. And Dawson Knox has broken onto the scene, but he's had a lot of crucial drops this season.
Yep.
They are too Josh Allen reliant. And the only difference between the Bills and the Ravens are that the Ravens are hurt. But the Bills and Ravens are very similar in the fact that they put the entire game plan, they put the entire game on the shoulders of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. The Bills are pretenders because they're an average team. They're not a great team. They're an average team.
I do also think the Buffalo Bills are pretenders. However, I want to give Josh Allen his flowers. That's one snub that we did not mention. He's probably the biggest quarterback snub now that I'm coming to think about it.
I didn't think about him.
Lamar,
he's definitely
definitely.
Josh Allen was definitely snubbed.
He has almost over 1,000 yards more than Lamar does. He has it's 31 to 16 passing touchdowns. He has one less interception on almost 100 more, almost 200 more attempts. He's been sacked far less, because Lamar's line has been in shambles all year.
I can't believe I put Burrow over
I know.
him. Josh Allen is the snub.
In terms of rushing yards, he has 40 less attempts than Lamar Jackson, and he has under 200. He has 200 less rushing yards, but 2 more touchdowns. Averages more yards per attempt than Lamar does right now. Obviously, the better rusher is Lamar Jackson, but Josh Allen has the stats to go right up with Lamar Jackson, and he definitely has the passing stats to show that he is significantly better than Lamar in that facet. So Josh Allen for sure was a huge AFC snub there. But in terms of the Buffalo Bills in its entirety, we saw Devin Singletary start to get a little bit more love in this most recent game. He was definitely effective, got into the end zone, was super effective with the touches that he was given. So maybe they actually start incorporating him into the offense a little bit more. They're understanding that if we want to really make a push, we need to start getting our running backs involved. And I've been more than active on the fact that if the Bills don't get a rushing attack involved, they're going to get clipped arguably in the first round. There's teams that can game plan against that. If they go against the Patriots in the playoffs, the Patriots know how to stop the Bills. In a clear game where the Bills should be rushing the ball, they refused to. They had Josh Allen throw the ball over 30 times, and it ended up only resulting in 10 total points on the game. Defensively, their biggest issue is rush defense. If there had to be a hole, it'd be rush defense. You don't have Trey White now as your corner. That's a huge loss. He's easily their best secondary player. So overall,
so? Corner or just
corner?
Okay.
Corner. Who do you have over him? Micah?
Jordan Poyer and Micah.
That's fair. That's That's tough. Corner is so much more important than those positions, but I understand where Mike is no slouch either. And who's the other guy you said?
Jordan Poyer.
He's been solid this year too. But Trey White's a huge loss on the corner. There's just who's going to go against Tyreek Hill? Like Travis Kelce either way. I just feel like Keenan Allen. Even I'm not going to say Michael Pittman, even though Michael Pittman can get open on any team. Truthfully, I just think the Bills right now, there's too many holes on that defense. If they go against the Colts, I'm taking the Colts. If they go against the Patriots, I'm taking the Pats, Chiefs. There's just too many teams right now that I just look that are better than them overall.
The Bills are they're my 50-50 team where I don't know, I don't want to call them pretenders because they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I think McDermott's one of the better coaches in the league too. But like you guys have mentioned, they're not elite in a lot of areas outside of quarterback. And if you're saying the areas they are good are linebacker and safety, how does that really translate if you're not elite? If you can't get after the passer, you're not getting a lot of turnovers. I don't really care that much if you have elite linebackers and safeties if you can't do these other things that are going to impact the game more. So they're my 50-50 team. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they win a couple games, go to the AFC Championship, but I don't see them as a Super Bowl team either. Because right now, if they play the Chargers, I'd probably take the Chargers. The Chiefs definitely, the Pats definitely. They're probably around that fourth, fifth best team in the AFC, which probably puts them more in the pretender category for me.
I mean, that's what the Seahawks are. They have Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams, and Quadre Dix. And then they don't have corners. They don't have defensive
there you go.
line.
Their defense is very mid.
Yeah, it's been
But
bad.
the Bills are different because their scheme is a bit different, and they're actually a great defense.
They're a solid defense. The talent that they've faced this year has been very minimal. And in the games that they've faced really good talent, they haven't showed out.
On the bubble, you have the Ravens, Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, Browns, and Broncos. Are any of these teams contenders, or are they all pretenders?
You have the floor.
You're probably going to pick the Dolphins.
Contenders for a Super Bowl, there's no one here that's contended for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Ravens, they're too banged up. Steelers are interesting, given the fact they're going to be playing based on heart, because it could be Ben's last season.
Yeah, but
they've been playing very good football. They have been playing very good football
I don't
overall.
trust Ben. They haven't been able to run the ball.
But Ben hasn't been bad this year.
He hasn't been that good.
But he hasn't been bad.
Yeah, but they're not that good. So unless Ben is really good, they can't run the ball.
That's a fact.
They
Their
average
O-line's terrible.
the least amount of rushing yards per game. They used a first-round pick on Najee. My whole time was you can't use a first-round pick on a running back if you don't have an offensive line.
I agree with that.
And that's what it's showing, bro. They're not able to run the ball. That's
I
an
agree,
issue.
but ultimately, if the defense steps up the way that it has been,
TJ Watt,
correct,
it's very TJ Watt dependent. If TJ Watt's not in there, it's a whole different defense. And given, I don't know, you don't obviously...
get Cam Jordan and Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward's on that defense as well. He's been very solid this year also.
I know, bro, but if TJ Watt goes down, I don't want to...
Minka's been amazing this year.
Injuries, though, but
Joe Hayden's been okay.
That changes everything, though, when you have one of the best, if not the best pass rusher in the game. If he's not
even
able
at
to
full
come
strength,
out...
are they contenders?
No,
I wouldn't say contenders, no. But again, off what we've seen in the past on miraculous runs, it really gets driven by these franchise-changing players that are coming towards the end of their career. This is our last ride. Let's really put it all on the line for this guy. I'm not counting them out to make that type of push, but no, I'm not saying they're a true contender. But of all these teams that are on the cusp, if I had to choose anyone, I'm choosing the Steelers.
Big Ben has the 34th best passing grade according to PFF. He's 43rd in turnover-worthy plays. He's 30th in yards per attempt. He's 28th in adjusted completion percentage.
43rd in turnover-worthy plays. That's good.
I think that's that might be 43rd best. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those. I'd have to go in and double check it. But yeah, 40.
Okay.
I think all these teams are pretenders.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Let my Dolphins get in the playoffs.
I was going to say, if I'm picking any of them, it's the Dolphins or Raiders.
Really? You have the Raiders over the Steelers? Bro, I'll be honest. If Baker plays this game, they easily win. The Raiders would probably go the rest of the season without winning a game. The Raiders look bad.
Yeah, if your grandmother had balls, you'd be a grandfather. They didn't. I get it, bro. But
Nick Mullins was a quarterback, and he left the field. Well, he didn't leave. He did leave the field winning both times, but he gave them the touchdown to go ahead late. He had a chance to put the game away. They didn't get that first down, and then Derek Carr obviously ends up putting them in position to win that game. That being said, I wasn't trying to say the Dolphins out of respect because I knew you guys would laugh at me. The defense has been playing very great.
Yeah.
And it really all comes down on whether Tua can step up in the playoffs, and we don't know that until we see it. And I do put my faith in him.
You got to step up in the regular season first.
Listen, we're going to talk about it later. I'm not going to go into it. Let's move on to
Last year, a must-win game, Week 17. He
as
laid
a
an egg.
rookie. As a rookie.
Oh, but he laid it. And then versus the Jets, this is a game they had to win. He was laying an egg early.
Early, and then what? Again, I'm not going to
We'll
go
get into it. We'll get into
Stop
it. We have a whole
man.
segment. We'll get into it.
Come on.
We're going on to the NFC now. Contenders or Pretenders. First one up, the Green Bay Packers.
100% contenders.
Yeah,
We
we
don't
don't
got to talk about that.
The Packers, man.
What?
This guy, no, he's so
make my day.
No.
Make my day. What are you about to say?
He has to say this because he's been down on them all season. Refuses to give him his credit. He has to say this.
For the last 2 years, I haven't been high on the Green Bay Packers.
He's calling. They're winning the Super Bowl.
In 2019, I wasn't high on them. They made the NFC Championship. They lost to 49ers. And I said most of their games were one-score games. They could have gone either way. I'm not too fond of Matt LaFleur. Very next year, I'm like, you know what? I'm picking the Lions to win the NFC North.
It's crazy.
And the reason for that is because the Lions, they had your guy, Matthew Stafford, elite quarterback, right? And
He's been elite this year. I don't want to hear it.
They blew so many leads last year. Just look at the games. They blew a shit ton of leads. Yeah.
Okay.
Blew a lot of leads. Green Bay Packers win their division again. They go to the NFC Championship. They face the Bucs. They lose to the Bucs, but I picked the Bucs all year. Coming into this year, Minnesota's winning the division. They're going to be number one in the NFC North. They should have been, but bad luck goes their way. They lose a bunch of close games.
Can I stop you for a quick second? What do you mean Minnesota should have been?
I mean, you look at all the close games. Yeah, they should have been.
Bro,
They should have been.
the Packers are what? 11-3?
Correct.
And the Minnesota's 7-7?
Who beat the Packers?
Okay, bro.
The Vikings.
Were they
yes,
in
bro, it's a
Minnesota?
divisional game.
No,
I
they
get
were in
it.
Green Bay.
It's a divisional game. It's
Are
cool.
you sure?
Check.
I'm
I think it
pretty
was in
sure,
But
Minnesota.
yeah,
like,
they
bro,
were
to
in Minnesota.
say Minnesota should be first is crazy. They have
should
4
be.
more
They should be.
losses.
They should be.
They have 4 whole more losses than them, bro.
Yo,
they have
you
a
are
lot of close
hilarious,
games,
man.
bro.
I understand
Look
that.
at the close games.
But that's
Nah,
part of
they
being
were
a
in
Super
Minnesota.
Bowl or a good
Okay.
team is can you close out those close
First
games?
game,
And
they lost versus the Bengals on a game-winning field goal.
Okay.
That he hit. That was one. They lost to Arizona as well off a last-second field goal. They should have won that. Actually, their kicker missed the field goal.
I know, bro, but you can't say should have won when they lost. Like
I'm saying they should have. I think they should have.
the Jets should be undefeated then, I guess.
No,
scored-
why? We get blown out. No, you can't do
They
that.
scored
Bro, I'm
7
just
points
saying,
against
like-
the Browns. They barely beat the Lions. They should have lost to the Lions 2 times this year, actually.
I mean, they lost once.
Saying should have.
Exactly. Why I say they should
That's
have
just
lost
so
twice.
disrespectful to
Okay,
the Packers.
listen. Let me finish. I haven't finished about the Packers yet. And the Packers proved me wrong. Matt LaFleur is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and they're contenders. As much as it hurts me to say, I feel like a spear pinched my heart just now. The Packers are contenders, and right now they look like the most legit team in the NFC, in the NFL. And you should have stuck with your last dance thing.
Man. I know.
You didn't stick with it. You should have stuck with the last dance thing.
The Rams look really good
They do.
these last couple of
Hey,
weeks, but
both
you're
of them.
100% right. Both my teams that I chose look arguably the best in the NFL.
Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league. Their defense is finally figured out. I think Devondre Campbell stepping up at that linebacker position is what they desperately needed. Eric Stokes has been one of the better rookie corners. And they haven't gotten Jair yet. They haven't gotten
That's crazy.
Darius Smith yet. They haven't gotten Bakhtiari yet. Bakhtiari and Jair, they're coming back. They're coming back, and they're going to be in the playoffs. So Darius Smith, I'm not sure. But their 2 key guys are coming back.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
once they come back, this team is scary.
Scary hours.
I'm putting a stock into the Green Bay Packers, man.
Yeah, you're late, but sure.
I'm putting stock into You're never too late, man. You know, the crypto's booming. It's not
I
too
know,
late to
bro.
put stock into it now.
Me and Drew were just talking the other day. We thought Bitcoin was over when it hit 10K. And you're like, bro, it's 60K now.
It's
Like,
crazy. I put money in when it was at 19. I put like $200. Nothing crazy. I probably have some chicken if I left it.
bro.
I
mean,
folded.
Oh, you took it
Yeah, I
out.
took
I was
it
gonna
out.
say you would have 3 extra money
Yeah,
right now. You're at
facts.
600.
Facts.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Next team, the Dallas Cowboys. I'm 50-50 on these guys
I'm 50-50 also, actually.
because their offense hasn't been good.
Dak has
bad.
been very questionable these last couple weeks.
You know, I got so much slack for saying Dak wasn't a top 10 quarterback.
I mean, he is.
I don't think he is.
He is.
If he is, he's bottom like 8, 9,
Correct.
10,
correct.
11.
Correct.
Like, right
Obvious.
there.
He's not a top 5 quarterback. The
Well,
top
before
5
I'll tell you before the season who I had over him.
Kirk Cousins.
No, I didn't.
You
no,
did.
I didn't.
Yes,
no, I
you
didn't.
did.
No, I didn't.
You're
no,
lying.
I didn't, bro. No, I
You're
didn't.
lying.
I wouldn't put Kirk over
You're
Dak.
lying.
They're in the same
Look
tier.
me in the eyes and tell me that you're not lying right now.
I'm not lying.
You're
I'm not
lying.
This is the list I had. I had Tom Brady. I had Mahomes. I had Rodgers. I had Josh Allen. I had Russell Wilson. I had Lamar Jackson. I had Kyler Murray. I had Justin Herbert. I had Matthew Stafford and Deshaun Watson.
It's a firm list.
Yeah, it's very firm.
I'm not putting Dak over any of them.
Well, Deshaun, we need to see him come back.
I don't care. I'm not worried.
But before the season, the guys that I got slack for putting Dak behind were Stafford, Kyler, and Herbert.
Kyler, I mean, that foolish. He's
Herbert. I could see just because it was a rookie 1 year thing.
But his
even
rookie
still,
year was better than anything Dak has ever done.
Herbert?
Dak's first year was phenomenal too.
Dak's first year, he was fantastic.
He was
Not better than what Herbert did though.
Oof.
Dak was just on a
go
better
back and look
team.
at it. He was definitely
was.
best.
That's why he was more
Zeke,
efficient. But Herbert was flat out.
Herbert was great. Correct.
But didn't Dak have like 4 interceptions? Like
And
something
now even now,
ridiculously low?
I mean, you can even now thinking about it, you can put Joe Burrow over Dak. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Right now,
what, man.
I'm not pushing back on it. Dak has really struggled. I mean, it's a tale of two halves. The first half of the season, Dak looked phenomenal, but this second half, their defense has really been carrying them.
You want to know what it is with Dak? I think everybody overrated Dak coming into the season because he was on pace to throw for like 6,000 yards, even though it was like 3-4 games. But everybody just looked at the projection and was like, yeah, this guy was flat out amazing.
He was.
No, he was, but I mean, the teams he was facing, they weren't good, bro.
That defense was trash that he was.
But that's
playing
also
with.
why he had ridiculous stats because he had to put up 30 every week.
But
Like, bro,
to
if Russell
still
Wilson
do it though, you got to give him the credit.
Last season, if Russell Wilson stopped playing by like week 5, he would have been on pace for like 70 plus touchdown passes.
But we know historically that
that's what
slows
they do.
down. Correct.
Yeah, it's just
That's why I think people have overrated Dak a bit. But you know, their offense hasn't been the same these past couple of weeks. Their defense is very up and down. They're turnover reliant. If they don't get turnovers, they're gonna get torched. They give up a lot of yards.
Yeah.
And
I don't mind that.
Let's send out a PSA for Amari Cooper. Where are you, bro?
Oof.
Are you okay? Is everything okay at home?
You start
Honestly,
Amari Cooper this week or Kyle Pitts against Detroit?
wouldn't you like to know?
We're not playing each other, bro.
I know. I don't want to be responsible for it.
Because Amari Cooper, he has really slowed down. I mean,
wait.
obviously
Pitts
outside
against who?
Detroit.
Ooh.
It's hard, but week 1 against Tampa Bay, Amari Cooper came out and was ridiculous. You know, had like 12 receptions, 180, crazy stats. And then since then, like he's had his games here and there, but he really hasn't been a number 1 wide receiver for them. CD's really been stepping up. Michael Gallup, since coming back from injuries, getting involved more. Future Jet possibly. Amari Cooper, I believe after this season, they could cut him. And they're not gonna cut him. I shouldn't say that, but he's no more guaranteed money is what I'm saying. So he could be traded for no dead money. They could get a second round pick probably for him and address another need because their receiver room stacked.
To answer your question, Amari Cooper.
Okay.
That being said, he needs to step up. This is a perfect week for him to do so. The Washington secondary is mediocre, being very kind. It's not good. Hasn't been good at all this season. Amari should light it up. Dak should have a really good,
This is a big bounce back spot for that offense
because
this has been a very bad defensive year for Washington.
You want to compete for the number 1 seed. I'm sure they want that bye week.
Oh, they would love it.
I'm sure they're looking at the bottom of the table. I don't want to play Minnesota. I don't want to play the Niners if I'm the Cowboys. If I'm obviously looking in, the Cowboys should be favored, but the Niners are not.
I'd rather play Minnesota I'd rather play the Niners than Minnesota. Oh, excuse me. I'd rather play Minnesota than the Niners.
Correct.
Okay.
I agree wholeheartedly.
You got the Minnesota purple on, so.
Oh, that's not a coincidence. I guarantee you that.
But
if right now the Cowboys would face the Vikings in the first round of the playoffs.
I'm okay with that.
The Vikings would beat the Cowboys.
Correct.
The Vikings would beat the Cowboys.
Would?
And I told you.
You can say could.
You
I don't
better,
know.
you better hope it doesn't happen because I told you they get into the playoffs, they're winning the game, and that's gonna be the game they win.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
that'd be a close game though.
Because all right, your boy Kirk Cousins would have to show up in prime time. That's what would happen.
He does.
He
Bro, he
does.
looks
When's the last time he played in the playoffs?
He just looked terrible.
When's the last time he beat Drew Brees? In New Orleans,
Bro, Kirk just looked
playing.
terrible the other day.
When was this?
Against Chicago.
When was this?
No, Monday Night Football.
Oh, you said in the playoffs.
No, in the yeah. The year the Niners went to the Super Bowl, they faced the Saints in the first round. They beat the Saints, and then they lost to the Niners the very next round.
Okay. I'll tell you what, it's not happening against
because the Niners
Dallas.
ran all over them, same way they ran all over Green Bay.
Is that the PI game?
No, it wasn't. They beat them fair and square. That was the game where Kirk Cousins threw basically a walk-away touchdown to Kyle Rudolph to win the game.
I remember vaguely now. I do remember vaguely now. Are you sure that was the postseason?
It was a postseason. Yep. And it was Captain Kirk coming up big.
I remember the Kyle Rudolph touchdown. I remember that for sure. But I don't remember if that was playoffs.
So we're all 50-50 on the Cowboys.
Yeah. Their offense, like...
It's because of Dak. If that's my biggest concern, then Ezekiel and Pollard, that combination has been lethal all season long. You have the weapons clear as day. Amari, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Dalton Schultz, they've all been solid. Defensively, you have arguably, credit to Joel right here, Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year. Trayvon Diggs, another candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, is not on pace anymore, but was on pace to break the record for most interceptions in a season, has 10 right now. They have the personnel. It's just a matter of if they can execute. And I do think it's possible. The Cowboys have been notoriously known for choking, but they have the group of guys. So I'm going to say they're contenders, but I do have my worries.
Yeah, and if I have to rely on Dak, I'm cool with that.
Correct.
Next team up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are they?
This is tough also because you lose Levante David, the heart and soul of that defense, regardless of what you want to say about not Bush. Oh, man. So
Devin White.
Devin White, thank you. I get the Devins confused, but Devin White, obviously, he's fantastic as well, but the heart and soul of that defense is Levante David. Secondary, it's not that great, and we've been hoping that they're going to come inevitably down the stretch, and they're going to get healthy because we can see what that defense as a whole can do come playoff time, secondary included. They can win a Super Bowl. But I don't know if these guys are going to come back. James Dean, if he's going to come back in time for the playoffs. However,
he will. He's back this week.
So? Oh, really?
That
is huge. You bring him back. You pair him with Murphy Bunting. That's enormous for them.
Sherman.
But I don't know.
AB's back.
That's why offensive. I'm only worried about the defense. Levante David. That is a huge loss. You need him back to be the defense that you want to be if you're the Buccaneers, and that's obvious. Offensively, I don't have the concern that others might have with losing Godwin and Fournette. Antonio Brown
and Evans.
He's going to
play. Yeah, I saw he's questionable to play.
He
this
has
week.
a hamstring injury.
Correct.
Yeah,
so I don't think he'll play.
Fine.
I don't think he'll play this week. I think the Bucks
play the Jets next week. I want to say so they might just sit him till week 18.
I'm gonna say this. I think the Bucks, they're in that red territory. The only reason why they're contenders for me is because they have the main man, Tom Brady.
That's the only reason?
That's the only reason why.
I can't agree with that.
That's the only reason why I look at them and I say, you know what? I can't count them out fully.
Because if that was the case, he would have won against the Saints. They're at home. You lose those guys. If that's the case, they should have won.
That's the only
he's
team.
Always been their
That's the only
team.
See, but
not always. In the Patriots, he actually had a winning record against them.
Yeah,
but
against
with
the Bucks. Yeah, with the Bucks.
You know, the Saints are the only team to beat Tom Brady 4 times in a row, like in his career.
I mean, that's so impressive.
Four times in a row in the regular season. When it mattered most, they saw him.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's the first team to beat Tom Brady 4 times in his career. Like, no other team has beaten him 4 times.
In the regular season?
Or playoffs, yeah.
Really?
The Jets have
it? No, we haven't. I don't think we have.
Are you sure? I feel like that's not true. Because I think we were going about the records. I think the Miami has more than 5 wins against Tom Brady.
Was it against New England?
Yeah, or it might be against New England.
No, they have to have more in the history of their franchises.
I thought that was first Tom Brady.
I thought so too.
But regardless,
you guys may be right. I may be wrong
on
on my stat, but you guys can fact check me. You're losing Chris Godwin. You're losing Leonard Fournette. Though Chris Godwin's out for the year. Leonard Fournette probably might be out for the year as well. Mike Evans is coming back, but that receiving core is so young and they just don't click with Tom Brady. Tyler Johnson just doesn't click with Tom Brady. Scotty Miller, I think, clicks with him, and I think he'll do good in that slot role if you move Godwin outside. And then they just signed Le'Veon Bell. I mean, that's a cry out for help. When you're signing Le'Veon Bell.
It is.
Respect.
Dude, Lev is a legend.
I understand.
He was one of the best running backs in the NFL at one point, but we have to call it how it is now. He's not a good running back anymore.
It's tragic. But Ronald Jones can do the job.
Yeah, this is what happened in reverse last year. Ronald Jones got hurt, and then Leonard Fournette came over.
I ask you guys this. Le'Veon Bell, he was not good with the Jets. He goes to Kansas City. We all think, okay, now this is the time where he's gonna revive his career. He doesn't do it in KC. Then he goes to Baltimore. He can't win over guys like
Tyson Williams.
Freeman. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Now with the Bucks, is
You're 100% right.
Is there any chance Le'Veon Bell is gonna revitalize his career with the Bucks? Because he said in his press conference that I was about to quit football. But when I got the call from Tampa, it was a no-brainer, and they're making me excited to play football again.
Their line is fantastic.
Second ranked line according to PFF.
If there was any line to be behind that we could have some kind of confidence in Le'Veon Bell, it would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just what history has shown me in these last couple of years with Le'Veon Bell, it's hard to put my money on him. But again, I'm 50-50. Le'Veon has looked terrible, but this line's fantastic, and we see what Le'Veon can do behind a great O-line.
And the Bucs need a pass catcher. I like Ronald Jones.
He's not a pass catcher.
He's not a pass catcher. He's inconsistent. And Vaughn, he dropped the pass in prime time on Sunday night, and Tom Brady was irate.
Was Leonard Fournette their second leading?
Fournette had the most catches by any running back in the league.
In the NFL this season. I mean, Leonard was fantastic in that aspect, which that's definitely going to hurt them. But Ronald Jones can do the job. You plug in Antonio Brown like Godwin. Godwin obviously is their best receiver this season, but your replacement is Antonio
Brown.
Brown.
Amazing.
Correct.
Before he got hurt, he looked really good. He was averaging 6 catches, 83 yards per game. He had 2 games over 100 yards. Like, he came in and he was the wide receiver 1, really, before he got hurt.
I'm going to say this. I think Le'Veon Bell bounces back with the Buccaneers. And they lost Gio Bernard, too.
I like that.
So they need that depth.
I guess I'm the Lev. If you're watching this, bro, I love you, man.
You're
I got
fake.
respect.
No, you don't. You don't.
I can't put, bro. Like, he went to the perfect situation last year in Kansas City. He went to a creative
Their
mind.
Their line was mid.
Okay, I'm sorry, bro, but if you're even decent, a mid line with that offense, with Mahomes, with
Correct.
Tyreek, with Kelsey,
Correct.
show me something. He
Correct.
didn't play a single snap in the Super Bowl.
I mean, rightfully so.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like,
all right.
The only reason I'm in on the Bucs is
go
because of Brady. And
as you should be.
But if you look at the history of when Brady has won a Super Bowl, I'm looking at it now with the man in the arena. I'm watching a great show on ESPN Plus. After they win, they don't win back to back usually. You know, they always have a down year after it. And this year feels like the Bucs down year.
But didn't they go Panthers, Eagles, or was there a year in between?
Panthers. That was the Broncos.
Back in the day.
Oh,
well, versus their first Super Bowl win was against the Rams.
Correct. That was 2001.
2002, they had an off year.
Yeah,
they beat the Panthers 03. They beat the Eagles 04.
So that was probably the only year. But then there was a gigantic gap.
Correct. Gigantic.
Then they lost to the Giants in 07. They lost to the Giants in 11.
Yep. Then they went against the Seahawks. They won. The Broncos won the next year after that, I believe. Then they beat the Falcons. And
they lost to the Eagles.
They lost to the Eagles. And then they beat the Rams.
Yeah.
There's always that down year in between.
Yeah, but almost all Super Bowl teams have that hangover of some sorts. I guess Kansas City didn't, but they still lost. They lost last year, to Tampa Bay. But I think they're contenders
Just
for sure.
to give you the stats on Tom Brady, I'll only read you some notables. 10-0 against Atlanta, 8-4 against the Ravens, 9-9 against the Broncos, 8-5 against Kansas City, 10-2 against the Chargers. That's impressive.
But let's hear the AFC East.
24-12 against Miami.
They have 12 wins.
That's a lot of wins.
Yeah.
For any
so
other
it was
team.
probably 4 times in a row.
And then the Jets, 30-8.
The Bills, he's dominated, I want to say, right?
Correct. Bills, I didn't read them because it was kind of embarrassing to a degree. They're 33-3.
Oh, that's nuts.
That's crazy. Bro.
I'd rather be 33-3 and have Josh Allen, though.
Yeah, you think so?
Bro, if you give me Josh Allen instead of Zach, I wish you the best, bro.
Fair enough.
Give me Josh Allen.
I'm not trading Zach for no Josh Allen.
Oh,
I'll tell you
God.
that.
Here he goes.
No way.
I am dead.
This is why it's a good show,
So
man.
we all
You get the absolute
honest.
crazy Jets fans, and you get the one that's realistic.
So we all
Saints are
think the
5-5.
Buccaneers are contenders.
Yes.
Yeah, they're contenders.
for sure.
So next team, the Arizona Cardinals. What are they?
They've been sketchy these last couple
have
games.
been.
I
And
think they're
without
pretenders.
DeAndre,
They're pretenders.
at this point, without DeAndre, I don't love the receiving core. I
Yeah,
don't.
no, me either. DeAndre goes down. You're looking at Christian Kirk, Rondell Moore, AJ Green. That's not a good
Rondell
core.
Moore's not even a receiver.
Do you remember-
They don't
He's
line
like
him up
a-
as that.
Do you remember
Yeah.
when we were talking about comparing their group of guys to the Ravens? Right now, you gotta lean Ravens.
Oh, yeah, I'd
I
much
don't know.
rather
It's
have
like
the Ravens.
really the same, bro.
I disagree.
I'd rather have
Mark
Hollywood and
Mark
Bateman
Andrews,
and Mark
easily.
Andrews, and it's not close.
easily.
Yeah, but we're
Just
missing
be
D-Hop.
honest.
Yes, fair.
Correct,
Facts,
but-
We're
facts.
missing D-Hop.
We are.
Agreed. But D-Hop makes these other guys better. That's easy. That's obvious.
But even if D-Hop comes back, like he's been banged up all season, do we expect him to come back for the playoffs
if
and beat
he's
D-Hop?
if he's healthy,
Nah,
listen,
I get
the
it, but we're
great-
talking about like the Ravens versus the Cardinals and all healthy. You know what I'm saying?
That's that's the thing. And personally, still, I'm taking the Ravens. I think as a whole, we've seen Mark Andrews blossom into the top 3 at the minimum at the tight end position. Marquise has been solid. He's been solid.
He was much better first half of the year.
Correct. 100% agree.
But so was
But
Lamar.
then as the team got more and more injured, everyone started to take a hit outside of Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews has been really the guy.
Elijah Moore has been better than Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman really hasn't had that opportunity, but fair enough. Hey, Rashad Bateman's off my team. Doesn't matter anymore.
They're both going to be really good.
Agreed. Both of them are going to be really special.
Better,
But to go in depth into the Cardinals, I'm worried because of DeAndre. Without DeAndre there, their weapons to me are not as exciting. You have the double coverage on DeAndre, which allows guys like Christian Kirk, AJ Green, Rondell Moore, whatever his role is, whether he's more of a jet sweep or some in that kind of facet. He makes me correct. DeAndre is what makes me excited about the Cardinals offense entirely outside of obviously Kyler Murray. James Conner has been great. You bring back Chase Edmonds, who just came back off the IR. He had a really good game against the Lions. But overall, they really just couldn't get anything going against the Lions. And Kyler was being Kyler to a degree. We still saw him make Kyler-esque plays, scrambling around the pocket. So I don't think he's the issue right now. You mentioned earlier in the show that is Kyler Murray still hurt? Is he banged up still? I don't think he's banged up. I just think right now, defensively, we're starting to see them creep back to their old ways of last season. And offensively, they don't have that piece on the outside that could really open up the game for these other wide receivers who, at this point in their career, AJ Green, I don't think he's a true wide receiver one. Christian Kirk's a solid piece, but only out of the slot when he has DeAndre Hopkins on the outside.
Kirk's had a really good year.
Ertz, for sure. I said
Kirk, but both, yes.
Ertz, since coming to the Cardinals, has been really effective. I think that without DeAndre Hopkins, I can't say they're contenders.
I also see them as pretenders right now. I mean, earlier in the season, I remember a few weeks ago, we were going to talk about, are the Cardinals kind of being slept on? And I thought they were at that point in time. I thought the defense playing really good. Kyler, coming back from injury, I expect him to be better. But it kind of gives me that, Russell Wilson vibe where, he kind of thinks he has to do everything, where in reality, it's different. I think that... especially in the running department, he has a lot more to work with than Russ basically ever did, outside of the Marshawn Lynch years, however many years ago that was. Chris Carson, but yeah, he was another one who's in and out of the lineup too.
And last season, you thought James Conner was washed.
He was.
I'm just saying.
He was not good last year.
It's questionable. Russ has had, up until this point in his career, he's been blessed outside of offensive line. That's the one thing you could look at and say the Seahawks did him dirty. When they traded for Jimmy Graham and gave away their center, I think it was.
Max Unger.
That was the beginning of the end for that really offensive line.
It really was.
And so that is the only thing you can look at the Seahawks and think this is what they did him unjustly. Other than that, he's had the receivers, he's had the running back. Make it happen.
I'll say this. I think the Cardinals' biggest loss hasn't been Hopkins. I think it's been J.J. Watt.
Agreed.
He's been he was playing in the interior defensive line, and when he was healthy, they were one of the top run defenses in the NFL. He goes out, they're one of the worst ones. They're not a good run defense. I think he's been the biggest loss. J.J. Watt has been.
Over D-Hop is close, but I agree. Defensively, they haven't looked the same since JJ's went out. I just think as a whole right now, you look at what brought the Cardinals the most success early on was the offense. They were blowing teams out. The defense played a huge part in that, but the most important factor of the Cardinals games was DeAndre was getting involved. You had Christian Kirk doing his thing. You had James Conner and Chase Edmonds both being effective out of the backfield. And that really all stemmed from the attention that D-Hop was bringing. And even then, D-Hop was still being effective in the red zone, had 8 touchdowns in 10 games. We see what DeAndre can do when he's on the field. We see the Cardinals offense as a whole when he's on the field. It's just a matter of him being there.
And now the LA Rams. What are they?
Come on now. Do I really have to say this? Contenders.
Yeah.
They got to be. I said it against that game against Jacksonville. This needed to be the game to get them back on track. We've seen these 3 weeks in a row. They've looked like the Rams that I had seen early on in the season. Cooper, it's a fact.
It's ending this Sunday, I'm telling you that.
Disagree. Who are they even playing?
The Vikings.
Yeah, okay, W. Rams defensively has looked great. We're starting to see Aaron Donald accumulate some more and more sacks these last couple of weeks. Von Miller actually just got his first sack as a Ram this past weekend. Jalen Ramsey, best corner in football. That's easy. And offensively, Matthew Stafford has been fantastic. I mentioned earlier how he was snubbed in the Pro Bowl voting. He should be in over Kyler Murray. As much as I love Kyler, give me Staffy this year. Number 2 in touchdowns, number 3 in total yards. He's been fantastic. Cooper Kupp's going to break every record. Probably not. but he's going. He's on pace.
Yeah, he's on pace.
I think he's 9 yards ahead of
it's gonna be close.
Calvin Johnson.
It's gonna be close.
There's going to be that asterisk on Cooper Kupp because of the 17th game, the one extra game. But he has a chance to do it in 16. I think he's like 300 away, 340, some around that.
Oh, but this is week 6. Oh, this
Correct.
17. Sorry.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he breaks it in 16. However, it would be very difficult. 341 in 340. I think that's around that number. In 2 weeks would be impressive.
Yeah.
He'd have to basically put up 170 in each of these games. I don't see it happening. I do think it's a possibility that he does break it in that 17th game at the end of the year against the Niners, given the fact their secondary isn't that great. And the run, I did not expect them to have this much depth at the running back position.
Big news before this. Just before we recorded.
News.
Go
Joel's boy,
my guy,
Cam Akers, taken off the IR, designated to return off a torn Achilles that happened earlier this offseason.
Yep.
Incredible that he's back this soon. He had
5 months is crazy.
We had thought he was joking on Instagram saying, yo, I might mess around and come back this season. We got Odell. We can actually make this run. And he's now designated to return.
That could change a lot because Darrell Henderson, I know there was a lot of talk in the offseason about, because Cam Akers really broke out in the second half of the season. We thought Darrell Henderson, he was a third-round pick out of Memphis. He was, that high-caliber pick that we expected to take over. Then the next year, they come right back. Their first pick, they didn't have a first-round pick in the second round, taking Cam Akers, and he really broke out. He dealt with some rib injuries earlier in the season last year. Then the second half, he really came out. And Darrell Henderson, he's had his moments this year, but it's hard to really figure out what is Cam Akers going to be when he comes back. Coming off a ruptured Achilles in 5 months is something that I don't know if I've ever seen before. We saw KD took almost 2 years, and that's another high-level athlete. But someone who has done it was Deontay Foreman. Now, it's been multiple years. This is probably 3-4 seasons at this point. But we see Foreman coming back now off of ruptured Achilles, and he showed that you could come back and you could still be an effective running back. If Cam Akers come back, there's no way he's a workhorse, right? Sony Michel is going to be involved. Darrell Henderson's still going to be involved. But they could get Cam Akers back and just in bits and pieces, especially down the stretch. And now you have that, what the offense is really built on, that zone running scheme, and be effective with it. Now we're talking about the Rams in a little bit of a different light. Now maybe they're the favorites over the Packers if they could have a really good rushing attack. And it really changes everything because I think right now where they stand, they're contenders. But if they can get Cam Akers back and he looks anything like he did last year, that we see different heights for the Rams now.
Ramley.
I'm
50-50 on the Rams, man.
La Ramelia.
I'm 50-50 on the Rams. It's because of Stafford. I already told you.
But he loves Kirk. I don't get it. Like, he thinks Kirk's going to go and win these playoff games, but not Stafford.
Keep it consistent.
Kirk has won a playoff game.
Bro, he's been on Detroit, though, bro. Like,
and he should have. I don't know how many
Stafford
times
leaves, and Detroit's the worst team in the league.
Wow. No, they're not. They're the third, actually.
All right, bro.
They have 2 wins.
I was going to say.
They have 2 wins.
They're better than the Jets. They're better than the Jags.
By week
they're the best
18,
worst team ever.
They are. We're going to talk about that.
Okay, yeah. It's such a coincidence,
They're the
right?
best worst team ever.
He hates Stafford, so they're the best worst team ever.
I don't hate Stafford.
That's interesting.
I don't.
That's
The narratives are coming out. The narratives are coming out.
Statement. I don't hate
The
Stafford.
narratives are coming out.
I don't hate Stafford. I just don't trust Stafford in big-time games. You look at the stats. I've named him before on this show. You look at his record versus 500 teams versus teams with a winning record. He's just an okay quarterback in prime time.
Are you talking about like his totality in his career? Because most of the time in Detroit, he was the worst of the teams when you're looking at better teams over 500. Like, how often was Detroit the better team?
In the Jim Caldwell years, most of the time.
Literally 2011, they were 10-6.
You're saying like two out
Jim
of like
Schwartz
his 10-year
too.
career.
They had some good years. Hey, look, listen, this is what I'm saying. I just don't trust Stafford, and that's why. I don't have to. I already backed up my opinion with a lot of facts before when we talked about the Rams. I don't have to do it again.
He's put you to bed these last couple weeks.
He's beaten,
Arizona,
he's beaten,
287, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks.
He's beaten the Jaguars team, who I don't care.
Forget about the Jaguars. I don't care about them.
Arizona just lost to Detroit. I'm really.
They're the best worst team though, so who cares? They're nice, bro. They're competitive.
They're still one of the worst teams though. Just because they're the best worst team doesn't mean they're not a bad team.
I'm going after you.
They're still a bad team.
Listen, we're just taking care of your narrative. Like we're going with what you're saying.
Look, Matthew Stafford, I am not sold on him.
Come on now.
And come playoff time, we're going to see, because actually this next team we're going to talk about, I'm sold on more than the Rams.
Let's hear it.
And that's the San Francisco 49ers.
Hey.
The San Francisco 49ers are contenders.
They are.
And if The only teams I can see them not beating are the Packers, and that's it. They can beat the Cowboys, the Bucks, Arizona, the Rams. Who can't the Niners beat?
I don't think they can beat the Bucs.
They have an elite offensive line. They have weapons on the outside. Brandon Ayuk is finally getting featured. Correct. They have a running game. George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. And everybody loves to knock Jimmy G, but Jimmy G's having a fantastic season, and he has one of the best records by a starting quarterback since 2000. Number one is Mahomes at 25-6. He wins 81% of his road games. Jimmy G's at 18-5 at 78%.
I thought winning wasn't a QB stat, bro.
Jimmy G is a road warrior.
I thought he was.
That's
I thought
what
it wasn't.
he is.
Listen, I thought winning wasn't a QB stat.
You said it earlier in the show too.
It's not a QB stat.
Come on now.
It's not a QB stat.
I think I give the benefit of the doubt because the quarterback is the most important position on a football field.
So why do you care about Stafford so much about not winning against 500 teams?
It's not a QB stat, but I'll tell you this. You look at these names right here. Mahomes is 1, Jimmy G's 2, Lamar's 3, Brady's 4, Payne's 5. He's in company with a lot of great quarterbacks.
He's the worst one on that list.
He definitely is. I'm not saying Jimmy G is a great elite quarterback because he is not that. But Jimmy G is a good quarterback who can win you games. And when you couple Jimmy G with one of the best offensive minds in football and Kyle Shanahan, you can win playoff games. He's already shown when healthy, when this Niners team has been healthy, they can make it to the Super Bowl. And Nick Bosa is comeback player of the year. He's been one of the best defensive ends this season. They have a great front four. You said their secondary isn't that good. They've been playing really solid. And in the slot, they got some guys like K'Wan Williams, who's a solid corner.
Verrett's out for the season, correct?
Verrett, yeah, he is out. But he's been out since week 1.
That's a fact, though, but that's a huge loss for them.
No, but they've had, Emmanuel Mosley is there. K'Wan Williams is there. I mean, they still have some guys there. Fred Warner is still there.
He's fantastic.
Drake Greenlaw just came back. Like, he's been back from injury for a while now. The 49ers are contenders. Not only because I think they have one of the more balanced teams in the NFL, but Kyle Shanahan, I trust him week in and week out to cultivate a genius game plan to go up against any defense. And I know we had a segment about Kyle Shanahan not being a top 10 coach. I was out of my mind.
Throw it away. Take that video. Kyle
Shanahan, we apologize to Kyle Shanahan. He's one of the best in the game.
Love you. Because
when he has a healthy roster, he's a damn good coach.
Yeah.
And
it took some weeks for them to get healthy, and we've seen what happened when they get healthy.
The 49ers are legit, and they can. What team can't they beat in the NFC? Even the Packers, they can beat the
Packers and Bucks. Those are the only two teams that I would definitely take over the 49ers.
Niners. Can the Niners not beat the Packers?
Game, I don't think they can.
They already faced them this year, and it was a close game. The Packers won, but it was a very close game.
It was very close. I know. The only reason I don't say the Rams is because it's a divisional game. So anything could happen.
They beat the Rams already, though. They smacked them.
I agree.
They smacked them.
No, that's why I don't have them.
San Fran.
But San Fran that matters so much.
It does. It matters. It matters a little bit.
They was playing in California. They're going to be playing in California when they go to SoFi.
Listen, they got smacked around.
SoFi isn't necessarily a home field advantage. It's not home field advantage.
Still, it's different. You're sleeping in your own bed.
You're not telling me San Fran fans are traveling to SoFi?
Oh, that's hell.
They probably are.
But San Fran's getting hot at the right time, bro. They won 5 out of the last 6. Kittle's come back, been phenomenal. He's averaging 6 receptions, 90 yards per game, and 6 touchdowns since he's been back. And obviously being one of the best blocking tight ends as well. And like you mentioned, Jimmy G's been phenomenal this season. Compared to his 2019 season when they went on the Super Bowl run, and
he was good that year.
Yeah, he was. This year compared to 2019, he's averaging 244 yards this year, 240 in 2019. He has an 18-8 touchdown to interception ratio this year, 27-13 in 2019. He also has his highest yards per attempt and highest yards per completion in his career, along with one of the best offensive lines. So the 49ers, I mean, when you're going into this playoff push, I've said it multiple times, if you're getting hot, win 5 of the last 6, you could run the ball. You have a good offensive line. You have an above-average quarterback. You have an elite head coach. You could get after the passer. This is one of those 49ers teams who is getting hot at the right time. They could go on a little run here, especially because we've already seen they could beat the Rams. They've been competitive with the Packers. So, I mean, I give them just as good as a chance. Now, they're probably still going to be a wild card team, so they're going to have to go on the road probably the entire playoffs. But, I mean, it's really hard to count them out the way they've been playing over the last month and a half.
Their defense has been really solid, too. 6 fewest total yards given up this season. Jimmy G has been solid. I'm not going to continue to reiterate. I'm surprised we haven't mentioned Deebo Samuel's name at all. I figured that's just an obvious given. He's been fantastic.
It is
on the receiving end and running back as well. He can do everything. He's a jack of all trades, a Swiss Army knife at the receiver position. I don't know if I'm ready to say that they're on the level of the Packers, Buccaneers, I'm going to give them the edge because they have that playoff experience.
And Brady.
And Brady, of course. That being said, it is true. The Niners can put up a fight against any team. If I'm going team for team, I'm probably going to only take the Packers over them truthfully, other than my Ramley.
The Bucks.
But I'm saying they could beat the Bucks. There's legitimately no team that they can't beat. It's possible they could beat the Packers. But I'm saying in a game, I would pick the Packers, but I think the Niners could beat them as well.
Maybe I just have Tom Brady PTSD, man. I'm not betting against that man, except like the Packers are the only team.
He's beatable. It's not like he's won every single year.
It seems like it, bro.
But like
It does seem like it.
Yeah,
But if it's a one guy that can maybe slay him is Jimmy G.
That would be poetic, man. That would be poetic. Jimmy G gets his revenge.
Before the season, I said, because we got to remember, in 2019, Jimmy G leads the 49ers to the Super Bowl, and he's the new shiny toy in town. He's like, oh, Jimmy G, look at this, first year starting, Patriots should have kept him, all this, all that. There was a lot of that noise. They even interviewed him in the Super Bowl, Aaron Andrews, and it was an awesome interview. 2020, he's injured, and he misses basically the entire year. Everybody forgot about Jimmy G and thought he was just a Teddy Bridgewater quarterback, which he's not. He's much better than that, actually. Now this year, Kyle Shanahan's only won with Jimmy G. You look at all the quarterbacks Kyle Shanahan has had. Granted, they haven't been exceptional ones. He's only won with Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Jimmy G is better than a lot of people give him credit for. And before the season, when I was watching film, because in the offseason, I watched a lot of film on, teams during the year. I said Jimmy Garoppolo's going to have a bounce back year. He's going to have a big time year. It took a while for him to do it, but that's my guy, man. That's Jimmy G.
So we talked about it early in the year. How would you feel if the Broncos? I feel like that's a quarterback that could be on your radar if you don't get a Deshaun or
I wanted the Broncos to get Jimmy G.
How do you feel about? Because I think that's a huge upgrade, a pretty significant upgrade over Teddy Bridgewater.
Significant,
and he's handsome.
He's handsome as hell.
Arguably the most handsome in the league for sure.
For sure.
You could definitely sell tickets, putting him on posters in the hallways.
I'm buying that jersey instantaneously. That being said, significant, strong.
It's not significant.
It's not significant. He's better.
Upgrade.
It's an upgrade. Significant, strong.
I don't know, bro. I think you get Jimmy G. And
he's also behind the best O-line, arguably the best O-line in football. One of the better O-lines, I should say. There's so many good O-lines this year.
He is in a great scenario.
You understand? Like he has arguably the best left tackle in Trent Williams. That line as a whole has just been solid all year long. Kyle Shanahan is his offensive coordinator. When it comes to the quarterback guru, I don't know if there's anyone more talented than Kyle Shanahan. Just look at the guys that he's coached up and made them who they are. That's Kirk fair. Cousins, Matt Ryan.
He didn't coach Kirk Cousins up.
Well, in Washington.
That was in Washington.
No, actually, Kirk Cousins, when he took over as starter, Shanahan was not there.
He was in Atlanta by then?
So yeah. What, RG3's rookie season?
Yeah, that's when Shanahan was there.
I thought he was with Kirk too, man.
With Kirk.
Nah, a lot of people will say that, but Kirk didn't. He didn't really play when Shanahan was there.
Well, either way, Matt Ryan was MVP. They went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G. He's in a great scenario. So I would say he's an upgrade over Teddy, but I wouldn't say significant. But it would be nice to have him. Yeah. Can't say it wouldn't be.
Good stuff.
So next team up, the Minnesota Vikings. What are they? Pretenders or contenders?
You know what? Start with yourself, bro.
Yeah,
I would love to hear what you have to say.
The Vikings have been a team that I'm very high on the entire season. And just the fight and grit that they possess. Every single week, losing these close battles, and these battles are close. They're really close. Minnesota's one of those teams that I look at and I'm like, they may not win the battles, but they'll win the war. And the Vikings, to me, are built tough, and that's why I gotta say that they're pretenders, but they'll win a playoff game. They're pretenders, but they'll win a playoff game, and I think. If they make the playoffs, they're gonna upset whatever team they face, they're gonna upset them. So you better be crossing your fingers and hoping it's not the Rams.
They're gonna upset the Bucks. That's right.
There's a chance. There's a chance.
I mean, there's a chance.
There's a chance. Yeah, no, there's a chance. You better cross your fingers. They don't face the Rams. They'll upset them. The Cowboys, they'll upset.
Are they even gonna make the playoffs?
If they face Arizona, they're going to upset them. Right now, they're in the playoffs, actually.
I know that.
But the Saints and Eagles are right on their tail.
And Dalvin just went into COVID protocol. He's not vaccinated. He's not playing.
They got Kenny Nagwanu.
And I did see your tweet about him being better than Madison's fine.
He's going to get bulk of the carries,
Come on.
no?
What made you think that Ngannou is better
He's
than
fast as
Alexander
hell, I'll
Madison?
give you that.
He's fast, but Alexander Madison
He's a
can do
beast.
it out of the pass catching role and out of the backfield regardless.
He's better than him. I look at their games and how they play.
Which is why I can't understand how you don't
Madison
think
has shown that he can step in and be great.
He's baby Dalvin. I wish I was kidding. No, he's baby Dalvin.
No, he's not, bro. Madison doesn't have the burst.
Legitimately is.
Madison doesn't have the burst.
Well, then he has the yards per carry.
Madison is good, but he doesn't have the burst. He doesn't have that burst, and that's why I don't think he's as good as.
To my original point of them not making the playoffs, they have the Rams this week without Dalvin.
They're beating them.
Okay, if you do believe that, then maybe I don't have them winning next week against the Packers in Lambeau Field.
That game,
and they have to beat the Bears.
They're winning that game too.
If any, I'm giving them against the Bears. I don't see them beating the Rams. I don't see them beating the Packers.
You just basically told me to go on 3-0.
No, all right. Whatever you say. 1-2, and the Eagles have been playing very good football. Saints kind of got screwed with this most recent news about both their quarterbacks going to COVID protocol, both Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian.
Ian Book's
they're going to fall, but the Eagles have been playing very well.
Ian Book.
Yeah, making his first career start.
That's good. I can't wait to watch that.
That's going to be something.
And let's look at this Eagles schedule really quick. The Eagles have the Giants, Washington, and the Cowboys to end the year. They could go 2-1. The Vikings go 1-2.
They can lose all three too.
I don't see them losing all three.
Well, they going.
Did you say who the Vikings play? Sorry, they play the Rams.
The Rams, the Packers, and the Bears. 1-2. That's what I'm saying.
That's 3-0, bro.
That's brutal.
All right, be real. Be real. 3-0. Be real. Just be real.
You're right. 2-1. Sorry. Yeah. They'll beat the Rams though, for sure.
For sure.
Yes.
Bro.
This weekend
Without
you're gonna
Dalvin, bro.
Yes.
Is Thielen supposed to play?
Yeah, he's playing.
Are you sure about that?
He's mine.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Go search it up, man.
All
Go search it up, man.
All right, listen, the Eagles have been playing very good football. They play the Giants, who have not been playing very good football, even though they did beat the Eagles earlier this season.
He has a chance to play.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to play.
The Giants
got a chance, bro.
He got a chance he's playing.
The Giants did beat them earlier in the season, but now they're in Philly. I think Philly could come out with the W there. At Washington, they dominated Washington when they played in this most recent.
So, so you guys don't think the Vikings are contenders?
No way.
Pretenders.
No way.
There's just too many.
And what
other
about
teams
these
that are better.
teams? Eagles, Saints, Washington,
Pretenders.
are all pretenders.
Yeah, for sure.
I was searching it up, and actually in 2012, Kyle Shanahan was the OC. Washington went 10-6. That was RG3's rookie year. Next year in 2013, Kyle Shanahan is the OC. They go 3-13. Robert Griffin starts 13 games. Wasn't very good. Then the very next year in 2014, they leave. Sean McVay is the OC. And Kirk is
sure. Wow, that's cool.
And Kirk starts 5 games and throws 10 touchdowns, 9 picks. And basically in 2015, Kirk Cousins started the entire year and threw 29 touchdowns, 11 picks.
Okay.
So Sean McVay is mostly developing Kirk.
Can't complain.
No, not at all.
I was going to say, if you can't have Shanahan, I'll take McVay.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. So we're going to go on and talk about Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa, right?
Thank you. Tunga.
Drew, this is a weekly topic that we're gonna have about the Dolphins until they lose eventually.
Love it, which is not gonna happen.
Grading Tua's performance against the Jets along with Zach Wilson. I'll start with you, Drew.
Okay.
Give me your grade for how well Tua played.
I gave him a C+. Now, if we're going based off the first quarter, it's an F-. He was horrible. That first quarter, the entirety of it, I saw minimal good throws, maybe 1 or 2 at the absolute max. That first interception that he had was bad. He threw it off balance. He had a little bit more time than he thought. That throw was atrocious. Devontae Parker was right there. All he had to do was just take his time, set his feet, make the throw. He hits Devontae, no problem. But he throws it into a sea of Jets, and that was an interception. Then the second quarter started. Immediately, the first play as the second quarter starts is a brand new Tua. He puts a dime to Devontae Parker, and Joel was trying to say that Devontae Parker did all the work. That throw was perfect.
The sideline throw, right?
It was kind of deep. It was kind of a crosser, but Devontae Parker was coming across the field. But it was
like the left side of the end zone fake. You're talking about that throw?
No, it was a throw. Tua's throwing the ball to the left side of the field. Devontae Parker's coming from across the field. He puts it over the corner. Over the safety takes control of Devontae Parker. He fits it perfectly right in between the two. Devontae Parker makes a great catch for sure, but that throw was perfect. That second quarter was a whole new Tua. He made a bunch of good throws on the sideline, very accurate. Then the only issue that I have with the second half would be that pick six. Now, the pick six, I watched it a bunch of times to see if it was really a bad throw. I can't say it was a bad throw, more so as I give credit to the corner who just broke on the ball very well.
Rookie of the week.
What's his name?
Eccles.
Brandon Eccles.
He made a very good break on the ball. I watched it to make sure I wasn't tripping out. He put it exactly where he wanted to put it. The corner just broke on the ball very well. The one thing I want to say why I gave Tua a C+ was because every time he made a mistake, he bounced back very well. That touchdown that he had to Wilkins, the pressure was just right in his face. All game, the Jets were swarming to it. This O-line is as advertised. It's horrible. The worst O-line in the league. It is so bad that the Jets are getting pressure on Tua. The touchdown to Wilkins, you see it. As soon as the play develops, the D lineman
made a great jump.
Comes off the tackle, is like fingertips length away from Tua. Tua takes a step back, throws the ball to Wilkins with another defender that is coming from that left side as well. Hits Wilkins, scores the touchdown. Now he has the pick six. The game's tied at this point. Tua has the ball to take the lead against the Jets. Now coming in, again, he should not have been in this position. But regardless, he put himself in a hole, but each time he came back and was better than the last drive. And that's what you want out of a young quarterback, where he makes his mistakes. You want to see him bounce back immediately and forget like it never happened. That entire drive, great throw after great throw, pinpoint accuracy basically outside of that pick six. And again, that pick six was accurate. The corner made a great break. That ball to Devontae Parker was perfect. That slant, again, pressure right in his face. The lineman is big body, just ready to swarm Tua. He doesn't show any fear, stays in that pocket, throws a strike to Devontae Parker, touchdown. So the stat line wasn't fantastic, only 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but I love the resilience he showed this game. So I give him a C+. If not for that first quarter, we'd be looking at a B-B. That first quarter really brings him down, and why people were so quick triggered to say Tua had a terrible game. The pick six didn't help either. And to a casual fan who doesn't watch Tua throw the ball or really take the time to observe the whole game, you could just look based off stats solely that this game wasn't the greatest. But Tua was resilient this whole game. So I'll give him a C+.
Giving Tua a C. That's being generous. 2 picks, 2 touchdowns, pick six to Eccles. You say that was a great throw. Yeah,
no. I didn't say it was a great throw. I said it was a great break by the corner.
Did you see what they said something on Instagram? Michael Carter II, the rookie corner, actually
who got ran over?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He was the one who told Eccles, watch out for this. This is what they're going to run. And that's why he jumped the route and got the pick six.
There we go.
And it happened because
the one that got ran over, he did.
Michael Carter.
And then he said, come on.
He's having a great year.
Come on. Who, Michael Carter? Yeah, he is.
It's because Michael Carter knew, look, Tua, it's easy to read this guy. And he's a rookie. So
that's why I'm glad Tua ran.
He said, Eccles, be here. The ball's going to come here. And Tua, I don't know. He probably thought Eccles was on his team. He said, take this. Eccles caught it. Pick six. He ran all the way. Tua, I'll give him a C. You basically said a lot of it. 59% completion percentage. It's amazing that, once they start asking Tua to throw the ball a little bit more down the field, the completion percentage goes down.
You know what was crazy? A lot of his throws, a lot of these throws were balls more than the 0 to 9 yards that you guys love to say that's all he does. A lot of passes that were in that 11 to 15, that 20 plus yardage. He made some solid, accurate throws.
And you know what's the thing? You talk about the Dolphins line is as advertised. I didn't think we got much pressure. As a Jets fan watching, I didn't think we got much pressure.
Well, they didn't throw the ball that much because if we didn't talk about Duke Johnson.
We let a Dolphins running back, Duke Johnson, rush for 100 yards.
Well, you guys are the worst rush defense in the league.
Yeah,
the worst everything.
We should not get gashed like that, especially with the offensive line, the offensive line being that bad. On to Zach Wilson. I'm gonna give Zach Wilson a C. Same grade I gave Tua.
I didn't know I had to grade Zach Wilson. I thought we were going one.
He was just as good as Tua in my opinion. And
disagree. What are you saying? Just as good?
Yes.
Stop it.
And he was just as good because I look at Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, the stats don't pop out at you, but
not at all.
What you do see with Zach is that you see resilience, you see toughness, and most of the time with Zach,
this guy that you accused Tua of being was who Zach Wilson was against the Dolphins.
Yo, you're the only one who can make 13 of 23 for like 150 yards be a good game.
Terrible.
But, no, go on.
In the first half, Zach Wilson he got a rhythm. He was completing a lot of throws. He was in rhythm. Then for some reason, the offense got kind of weird. The offensive play calling was horrible. The routes weren't good. The route combinations weren't good. They were running 2 guys on the slant on the same side. The offensive line didn't hold up. Zach Wilson made some inaccurate throws. He overshot some balls. There's no doubt about it. He made some bad throws. He also threw some strikes that were dropped, like the one to Keelan Cole on 3rd down. Zach just didn't have much of a chance. I mean, you had Keelan Cole out there, Jamison Crowder. Denzel Mims is the biggest disappointment of all the Jets' young players. And they're facing good corners in the Dolphins.
I'm not laughing at Zach Wilson to say he played as good as Tua. Like, Tua made significantly better throws than Zach Wilson did. Not even comparable.
I would hope so. He had better talent around him to do it.
The Jets got 4 pressures on Tua. Miami had 6 sacks.
Correct. I understand.
Like
Zach
14
Sealer.
pressures.
Zach Sealer.
It was a lot of the run that was the big reason why the Dolphins had success.
Our left tackle and our interior offensive line was getting beat. Zach Sealer was dominating wherever he was lined up the entire game.
McDermott's.
Then you look at Jalen Phillips. He was getting his way with Connor McDermott.
He was.
I mean, Zach really didn't have much time to throw at all. Like, what is he supposed to do there? Yes, he made some throws that I thought should have been accurate, but what is he supposed to? I'm looking at the all-22, and I'm like, what is Zach supposed to do here? Every receiver is blanketed. There were like 4 coverage sacks. I'm like, what is he supposed to do? Really, what is he supposed to do? What did I tell you? We were at Drew's party, and what did I tell you, man? I told you this. I said, listen, Zach's gonna have a clean game.
You did,
and you were like, yeah, okay. I'll be surprised if that happens.
Second half was not.
I'm gonna be honest. Zach Wilson versus the Dolphins. No, the Dolphins are a turnover heavy team. As a Jets fan, an A+ game for me is Zach not throwing 1 interception in the game.
And what about the fumble?
What he's supposed to do?
I'm just asking.
I know. The fumble was okay. That's a turnover, but what is he supposed to do? A receiver's breaking it on his route. Zach's about to throw it, and now he has guys all over him. They're draped on him.
My one positive from watching the game was Zach Wilson's ability to scramble inside the pocket and get away from sacks. The one play that he had that was great was that he's scrambling to his right.
He made a few really nice plays.
And that jump throw to who's your tight end?
Ryan Griffin?
I don't know if it was Ryan Griffin. Tyler Croft. That play was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson made a bunch of plays off schedule. He made 2 big-time off-schedule plays that I'm like, Tua can't do that.
You're lying.
Yeah, I said it. I said Tua can't do that.
You're lying because I saw it this weekend.
I'll say this, though. Zach Wilson, we have now seen Zach back-to-back weeks versus the Saints and Dolphins, very good defenses, not turn the ball over, at least on an interception. Fumbles are going to happen, pockets collapsing, but not on interceptions. And for me, that's enough for me to give him a C. I might just curve his grade. I'm gonna give him an A.
Look, I'm
gonna give him an A because he didn't turn the ball over. Yes, we didn't score touchdowns, but he had a touchdown rushing. And this is what I hate about the Jets coaching staff. Give Zach an easy passing touchdown in the red zone, please. Build his confidence up. When the season ends, and I go to Zach Wilson's stats on Google and I search up his stats, I don't want to see 6 touchdowns to 11 picks with 5 rushing touchdowns. I want to see 13 touchdowns, 11 picks. I want those passing touchdowns to be up. And this weekend against Jacksonville, you best believe that's going to happen.
All right, you guys done? I always let you two go at it for a little bit before I even interject.
Man. It's disgusting. To give Tua a C and Zach Wilson the same grade is crazy.
No, it's not.
At the minimum, you should give Tua a B- then. Because there's no way you could get away from this game and think Zach Wilson played as good as Tua. There's no way.
He did.
He did not. He did not. Because, again, when Tua made his mistakes, and to say that Zach Wilson made no mistakes, you're lying.
I never said he made no mistakes. I said he was clean. Turns he didn't have an interception.
I guess
he should have had one, but okay, he didn't have an interception. He played a clean game. I mean, Joel, you probably thought Zach was going to throw like 3 picks.
Yeah, I was talking to your dad.
He should have had a pick. There were so many balls that were dropped by the defenders.
There was one pick he should have had. That's about it.
I was talking to your dad. We were like, if we're within 14 points, it's a good game. And hey, we came within 7. But yeah, no, Zach had a decent game. He only had, I want to say, 2 turnover-worthy plays. Let me see if I can find it here.
I gave him a C+, and I regret it. Because of you, I regret it. I was honest. I gave my integrity to this take.
He had 0 turnover-worthy plays for the second week in a row. So not only is he not throwing any interceptions or turnovers, he's also not, getting unlucky. Exactly.
That's debatable, though. I watched the game, and I saw one that was tipped that the defender could have easily made a play on and just dropped it.
I have some similar thoughts to you guys. They're both in the C range, right? Whatever you want to say, C- to C+. Neither of them had great games. I have a little bit more to take away from Tua just because Zach is, I don't know. I just give Zach some more leeway because you're right. I do think Tua has more to work with. They're playing a much worse defense.
Waddle wasn't even on the field. And Devontae Parker, who you say is a guy, burnt your boy Hall. He did him in.
Okay, cool, bro. We didn't have Elijah Moore. We didn't have Corey Davis,
bro.
All right,
regardless of that, but I'm just saying.
Jameson Crowder, Braxton Berrios, and Keelan Cole.
Braxton Berrios, shout out to him. He made some good plays. Regardless of that, he was your most explosive offensive weapon.
And it's Braxton Berrios. You hear what you're saying, right?
I understand. But their offensive line is worse than yours, and that's saying something.
Yeah, sure, but you're also playing the worst defense in the league. We're playing one of the better defenses over the last 2 months.
I agree.
So from Tua's perspective, yes, he started off the game terribly. Literally the third snap of the game, he had some sort of RPO concept. Yes. He fumbled the ball. He had the tight end open in the flat. It didn't work out. I don't know if it's a running back's fault, if it was Tua. I kind of think if you're the quarterback, you have to pull the ball out of that running back's gut and throw it to your tight end. But after that, he went 3-and-out in that first drive. Second drive was even worse. He threw that interception. Devontae Parker, I don't know what he was looking at. He completely missed Devontae Parker. And there was I saw 3 Jets jerseys, so I'm not sure if there was some miscommunication, if he thought he was running a curl and he ran out. It was a bad throw.
That's really what it was.
Whatever it might be. And then that third possession, he had Albert Wilson wide open for a 75-yard touchdown.
It was a rough first quarter.
And he underthrew him pretty bad. And he did face pressure.
He did.
But he had time to set his feet and put his all into it. And that's one thing I do worry about Tua. That's where Zach can make that throw.
He has better easily. He has
much better arm talent than Tua, because we've seen that exact throw against Tennessee, a very similar one. Tua's rolling out to the left side. It's his strong arm. He has time to set his feet, and he misses Albert Wilson for a huge touchdown there.
That one hurt me. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay,
he had him.
But then
when Tua throws it, you kind of feel like.
No,
when Zach Wilson throws it,
I agree, bro.
When Zach Wilson throws it, you know how it is.
I think Tua puts his all into almost every throw, and yes, Zach looks like a much more natural thrower. And listen, it's not the end of the world. Herbert looks very mechanical when he throws too, but he just his arm is just ridiculous. That doesn't really matter. But Tua does look like he puts his all into almost every throw.
Let him get a line. It's scary hours. It's scary hours.
He bounced back though. Fourth possession, turned it around. A beautiful dot to Devontae Parker on that left side. He was on the 5-yard line. He had a nice throw to Isaiah Ford later in the game as well.
That was right in the bread basket.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a great throw. But overall, 59% completion percentage, less than 200 yards, 2 interceptions. I'm pretty sure
he's number 1 now in completion percentage in the NFL.
All 59%.
He's number 1 now.
I'm giving Tua a C. I'm giving both of them a C.
C. How can you give both of them the same grade?
Because I don't know. I look at Zach's game, and they started off. It was very simple, right? They were giving him some confidence building throws. I thought they gave him a lot of stuff that I want to see. A lot of stuff in the flat. To tight ends and to running backs. He didn't complete. This is the one area that did worry me, which was almost Tua-esque. Zach didn't complete a pass beyond 10 yards, and 76% of his yards came after the catch.
The guy you accused Tua of being, Zach Wilson was against the Dolphins, 100%.
Yes. So, yes, this was not...
Defense did a great job. What can I say? This is not
Zach's best game, but he's also playing with a depleted O-line because we were missing George Fant, who was playing left tackle all year. Connor McDermott is not a left tackle. He is not good. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen from a left tackle. But this is one of the most mobile I've ever seen Zach play. I mean, Zach was making play after play. He was making guys miss in the backfield. He was getting, rushing yards, and he was really looked very mobile. Something that we really haven't seen too much this season, at least not to this, to this extent.
Correct.
And then I don't know what happens. There's something weird with the Jets, man. They either start off hot and the Eagles were touchdown. They can't figure it out. They start off slow. They can't put together a complete game because in this game,
can't put together a complete game.
Yes, because we have listen. It is my fault. I put a lot of praise on LaFleur, but he's had some moments where I'm like, bro, what's going on? He does have some creative times, like that play to Berrios where he had a little drag to Crowder. He threw it to Berrios. He get 20 yards in there. That was awesome.
And if Keelan Cole throws a better ball, Zach Wilson has a receiving touchdown.
That throw was garbage.
Yeah, it was bad. But still, a receiver throwing the ball. But again, the Jets.
Lucky. Zach Wilson catches that. He gets an A+.
Stop it. You're lucky.
The Jets did nothing. The Jets started off hot. They had a touchdown field goal in their first 2 possessions. But after that, I thought LaFleur kind of got in his own way. I thought that the first red zone trip where he kind of had that swing pass to Berrios, it was obvious. Berrios comes across. We see it's zone because no one follows Berrios. I mean, you could disguise it, I guess, but no one picks him up. So you know that zone. That's not really a play that's going to work against zone. That's something where you could beat it against man, possibly have a blocker out there. That didn't doing so well. End up doing well. There was a ton of blocking issues. There was one where I saw Miami had 5 rushers. The Jets had 6 blockers. And for some reason, there was just a blocker or a blitzer came right through and Michael Carter had to pick it up. Michael Carter was not able to do anything with it. McDermott, there was one play where he just completely missed on. I really don't know how he did it. Like he set up as a left tackle. He has a defensive end on the left side. He has a interior defensive lineman on the right side. He blocks the interior defensive lineman. The left end comes right through and sacks Zach Wilson like it was nothing. And Miami's defensive line just dominated. They had 14 pressures, 3 sacks, 6 sacks as a whole. It was a very Zach Wilson-esque game where he showed flashes. He had a couple really nice plays. But all in all, it wasn't incredibly impressive. But yes, he is a rookie. He's down his top 2 receivers. He's down a ton of old linemen. Yeah. I just give him a little bit more benefit of the doubt than Tua because Tua's situation, while he does have a terrible O-line, 100%, you're playing the worst defense in the league. Correct. With better weapons. And I mean, look, if you look at this offensive line Jets put out last week or this, last Sunday, it's not that much better than Miami.
Yeah, I agree. I should have came on here spicy. Jets choked. Tua had a great game. I should have, man. I should have.
Too late now.
This guy, man, I try to do the analytical, proper thing to my integrity on my name. And this guy, and you as well, if I'm being honest.
What, bro?
Both of them getting the same grade is insanity.
No, it's not. It's
insanity. Because, listen, hear me out. Tua had a rough start. And Tua of last year would have continued to be mediocre the entire game. He was not. He bounced back after that pick. That second quarter, he starts off on fire, puts them in position to score a touchdown. Duke Johnson, as great as he was, no doubt about it, he gets a good portion of the credit for this win. I'm not going to say that that's wrong. But Tua had to win this game for them down the stretch, and he did. Yeah. So why is he getting the same grade as Zach? Zach did nothing to help you guys.
Neither of them were that good. But they were both not good. So, sure, do you want me to give Tua a C+ and Zach a C?
You're telling me Tua didn't have really great moments sometimes?
So did Zach.
When? What? He had...
Bro, what do you mean?
Hold on. Hear me out.
The play where he ran for the first down and fought for extra yards?
That was really nice. So then, all right.
And then that trick play as well,
running that boy over.
Running to his right, throwing it back to the left. Tua's not doing that. Tua can't make those guys miss. Not in the backfield, he can't, bro. I'm sorry, he can't.
Messed up.
Oh my God, man.
Tua's just not.
He did it one time. He had one really, really nice play.
Let's talk.
Zach did it twice. Making guys miss in the backfield.
I don't know.
Let's talk about something good here, and that's that DraftKings is having great promotions, right? Football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game, but with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point is scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on NFL action. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code TBPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And it makes more sense to do Pick'em right after the DraftKings
I'm with
app.
it. Let's do it.
Let's do our NFL picks for this week, Week 16. 49ers versus Titans. First game's going to be tonight, Thursday Night Football. Yep. Who wins this game?
Niners been cooking. Titans, I just don't see it happening. I get that they're home. Vrabel is a good enough coach to put his guys up against anyone and put them in position to win this game, but I just think the Niners are playing great football, better football than the Titans, and I think the Niners take this one.
I think the Titans surprised some people in this game with A.J. Brown back. I think, at home, I think they need a prove-it game to themselves and to everyone else, me included. I don't really believe in them that much, but I think they're going to have a statement win tonight.
I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy G is a road warrior. He's going to get it done on the road. Browns versus Packers.
Packers. Christmas Day.
It's going to be a good game, surprisingly, but I think the Packers win.
I'm going with the Packers, and I'll say this. Aaron Rodgers just needs one more touchdown to break Brett Favre's Packers touchdown record. Devontae Adams needs just one more touchdown thrown by Aaron Rodgers for him and Adams to break the all-time quarterback to receiver touchdown
in Packers
duo
history.
in Packers history. Right now, it's currently held by Jordy Nelson. If I was betting, I'm taking first score Devontae Adams.
I like that though.
Give him like 3 of those.
Yeah. Okay.
Please.
Colts versus Cardinals.
Ooh,
My two
this
boys.
is a good game. Yeah, the Colts are hot right now. They're just coming off a huge game against New England. The Cardinals haven't looked good. I'll stick with the hot team. Give me the Colts.
I'm riding with the Colts. I think that the Cardinals defense has been trash lately. The rush defense hasn't been really good, and Jonathan Taylor has been fantastic. I'm going Colts.
I'm going with the Colts too. Now
Damn,
Lions.
That's not gonna end up well.
What?
We all took the Colts, and the Cardinals are gonna win.
Stop it.
They just lost to the Lions.
I don't care.
And I'm going with Lions versus the Falcons. Who
Colts
wins?
need this win.
They do. So the Cardinals.
I guess. Fair.
It's week 16.
Lions,
everyone
Falcons. I'm going Lions, actually. Never works out when I pick them, but hey, they've been playing really good football lately. Falcons really haven't been playing great football lately. I'm going Lions.
I'll take the Lions too.
Going with the Falcons this game.
Really?
They get it done. Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Atlanta.
The best, worst team ever.
Matty Ice. I mean, yeah, they're the worst team
Yo,
also
those
for a
TikTok
reason.
comments were eating me up.
Yeah, they
bro.
were.
I don't like this guy's vibe. I don't like this guy's vibe.
Because it wasn't. I don't know how that conversation even got started. Because it wasn't like a Detroit segment. It just got like turned into that, and I was just like, sure, bro. Like you could take it, like whatever.
We were also like 3.5 hours
Deadass.
into the podcast.
Yes, I was like,
It's like, yo, that guy is such a vibe killer. I never invite him to a party.
That was a Lions faithful right there.
They were chewing me up. I was like, bro, like this wasn't even a topic. I was just trying to move on. Like
literally.
I've been sitting down for 3 hours.
Rams versus Vikings.
LA, man.
Come on, Ramley, let's ride.
I'm going with the Vikings, man.
Yeah, surprise. They're getting smoked, actually.
Jaguars versus Jets.
Every time I pick the Jets, we lose. Picking the Jags.
I'm going Jaguars legitimately, though. I think you guys, how many people you have on COVID list?
A lot.
I saw it was like 15.
I was going to say, yeah. And Salah, too, has
and
COVID.
if I'm the Jaguars, I want to show that I have a little bit of something. Show my team that we're actually good, or just show some kind
Be
of flash.
competitive.
Correct. Thank you. That's what I'm
This is
looking
going
for.
to be the first time the Jets have been favored since I want to say 2018 in a game.
Really?
Yeah, like something ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm going with the Jets this game. I think Zach Wilson's going to have a big-time performance, but the Jaguars' defense is not that bad. They're sneaky good, and their ranking is that bad because their offense is never on the field for a large majority of time. But Zach Wilson, big-time game. Giants versus Eagles.
Eagles should win this game. Giants playing. They don't even know. They haven't even announced if it's going to be Glennon or
Jake Fromm.
Yeah, they haven't.
I want to see Fromm come in, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if Joe Judge thinks it's some competitive advantage. Like they're both not that great, so I'll take the Eagles.
Yeah, Glennon's been absolutely atrocious. I want to see what Fromm has at least. Show me something.
Yeah, sure.
Fly Eagles fly, though. They're winning this game.
I'm going with the Eagles, too. Bills versus Patriots.
Why is this a 1:00 game? That sucks.
I know, it does suck. Believe it or not, I'm going Bills. I think that they realized they got embarrassed to a degree. The score didn't say they got embarrassed, but in my eyes, they kind of did get embarrassed. You let a quarterback throw the ball 3 times, and they're coming away with the W. To me, that's borderline inexcusable. I think the Bills win this game, though. I think they have something to prove, and they will.
I think Belichick's pissed off that he lost on a national stage to Indy. I think comes back, really good game plan. They sweep the Bills.
This is one of the hardest games to pick because
Low-key.
I think the Bills, they want to get this win badly, but the Patriots, like you said, coming off that loss to Indy, they want to get this win as well. I'm going to go with the Bills, though. I think this matchup, they split this. I don't think it's going to be a sweep by the Patriots. I think they split, and I think the Bills win this game. Now, Ravens versus Bengals.
Possibly no Lamar. He hasn't practiced today or yesterday. Doesn't look great, so I'll be taking the Bengals. Even though Huntley looked really
Okay,
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Huntley looked good.
I wanted a little bit of mention of
Yeah,
Huntley.
Huntley looked
He
really
was
good.
fantastic.
Yep.
Not really good. He was fantastic
Yeah, for
against
sure.
the Packers.
100%.
2 passing, 2 rushing, put the Ravens on his back that fourth quarter, those last 2 drives. Him and Mark Andrews, obvious. Mark Andrews was huge in his role for the Ravens having success, but Huntley deserves as equal credit for the Ravens' success. However, I'm going Bengals at home. Bengals want to put a stamp on this division, and I think they do so.
I'm going with the Bengals, too. Now, Chargers versus Texans.
Chargers, my sleeper team for the Super Bowl, man.
Chargers should win this game for sure.
Chargers, I got the Chargers as well. Buccaneers versus the Panthers.
Bucks. There's some like little quarterback thing going on. They said Darnold's gonna play a little bit, but Cam's gonna start. They're a mess.
Fade the Panthers rest of the season. Don't bet them to win a single game rest of the year. I'm going Buccaneers.
I'm going with the Bucks too. Now, Bears versus Seahawks.
Justin Fields did not practice today, actually.
Really?
Yes, he did not.
What?
I think Seattle
Thank
has
God.
been playing. Why?
Dalton gives them a better chance to win.
Nah, you're talking crazy. Justin Fields has not been horrible. I think Seahawks have been playing very good football these last couple of weeks, actually, and I think they continue that against the Bears.
Unfortunately, I think the Seahawks win too.
I think the Bears win, and because of that, the Jets pick is going to be higher.
Yeah, that's what I'm
We
saying.
need the
Unfortunately,
Seahawks to lose.
Yeah,
So
I feel
Bears,
you.
I think, will win. Broncos versus Raiders.
Again, fade the Raiders rest of the season.
you don't care about that.
Drew Lock. Oh my God, I forgot.
Oh yeah,
I'm taking the Raiders in this one.
Yeah, why?
Because
Drew
you're
Lock.
starting Drew Lock.
and the Raiders are
He
home.
didn't look horrible against the Bengals, if I'm being completely honest. He didn't look terrible. That last drive, though, he did look bad. But I'm excited to see what our offense does. I want to see him. What do we have to lose, honestly? Sling the rock. I understand that Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon are, at this point in time, the heart and soul of our offense. But let it rock. Let it fly. I want to see what Drew Lock can do down the stretch. Why not? This is one opportunity. Don't squander it. I'm going Broncos, but not because of Drew Lock, but because of Javonte and Melvin Gordon.
Take the Raiders.
I'm taking the Raiders too. Now, Steelers versus Chiefs.
Steelers been playing really good football.
You guys are higher on the Steelers than me, man. I don't.
Whoa,
I know. It's
no.
basically me. It's
I
basically
thought
me.
I saw you tweet something about Big Ben.
No, I don't think Big Ben is as washed as everybody thinks he is.
Oh, I do. I'm taking Casey.
You thought the same thing about James Conner, fellow.
I did.
James Conner's a beast.
Watch Big Ben go to the Broncos next year and win it all.
I don't need that. I don't want it at all. I'm
with the Chiefs,
Yeah,
though.
I'm going Chiefs, but I think it's gonna be a surprisingly good game.
I could see it.
Washington versus the Cowboys.
Them boys, they're winning this
Sunday
one.
night.
He was on COVID, so
Yeah,
he's probably.
he should be back.
Yeah. I'll take the Cowboys though. Big
gonna-
bounce back game for their offense.
I need to see Dak show me something. I need to see Amari show me something.
I'm taking the Cowboys too. Now, Dolphins versus Saints.
Dolphins caught a huge break with Taysom and Trevor Siemian both being out. I think regardless of that, I still would have picked the Dolphins, but with that on top of it, there really is no extra excuse for the Dolphins to lose this game other than the fact that they are going to be in New Orleans, and that's such a tough environment to play in regardless. But Tua can show me some, again, in one of the most hectic environments in New Orleans. Tua has a good game. I'll be more than happy with it, but I do expect them to play well.
I'll take the Fins too.
I'm taking the Dolphins as well. And now, moving on from Pick'em, we're going to talk about New York football. New York football hasn't been good in a long time. The Giants have been a joke of a franchise since 2016, I will say. They haven't had a record above 500 since then. And the Jets, since 2010, we haven't made the playoffs. But this segment is about which New York team, Jets or Giants, have the brighter future going forward. And I'll start with you, Joe, because I know there's no bias in your answer.
It's funny. My first note is this is no bias. Real quick though, both of these organizations are kind of dumpster fires right now, right? I'm gonna say the Jets just because I think they're ahead of the Giants right now, right? The Jets.
In what sense? In the rebuild process?
Yes, the
Okay.
Jets have admitted they're in a rebuild already, right? This is year one of the rebuild. I guess really year two since Joe Douglas has come along, but year one we have the new head coach, new quarterback. I look at the Giants; they're just a little bit behind because we know they're gonna be firing Gettleman at the end of the season. We've already heard reports that Joe Judge is gonna be returning for next season. There's not many times where I see you bring in a new GM and he doesn't want his own head coach. So you're going to have to find a GM. You might be a little bit limited now because you need to find a GM who wants to keep Joe Judge on board. I think they're going to be, this time next year, they're going to be firing Joe Judge. They're going to be looking for a new head coach. They're going to be looking for a new quarterback next year. So I just think they're a little bit behind in terms of their rebuild progress. I also don't think Daniel Jones has shown really anything in these 3 years to prove he could be a franchise quarterback.
Anything?
No, bro, I'm over it. He gets hurt. He hasn't been that good. What has he really shown that you think he could be a franchise quarterback? Now, I'm not sold on Zach, but I have a lot more faith in Zach being a franchise quarterback than Daniel Jones at this point. I don't love the contract to Kenny G. They have an issue with Saquon Barkley. What are they going to do with him? And defensively, I mean, offensively, that's one thing. Defensively, they need help just about everywhere. They probably have the worst linebacking core in the NFL. James Bradbury has regressed mightily this season. Last year, he was really good. This year, he's the 62nd ranked corner in coverage. I still think edge is a need for them. They don't really have many pass rushers. Azeez Ojulari has had a bit of a disappointing rookie season. He's still young, so, I'm not out on him.
For a second round pick, he's been good.
But I feel like those are a little misleading because not that Devonta Smith is a superstar right now in the NFL. He clamped him. Amari Cooper, he held him for 2 catches, clamped him. Terry McLaurin, the first time he ate him, second time, have they? I'm pretty sure
he hasn't been
man to man.
shadowing.
Yes, correct. He hasn't been
because last year he was, and he was playing really well. This year he's having a bit of a down year. But they do have 2 potential top 10 picks. They have their own first round pick, which is definitely gonna be top 10, and Chicago's is probably also going to be top 10. Andrew Thomas, on the bright side though, Andrew Thomas is progressing. He's looking like
glad to share a name with him.
Yeah. First half of last year he looked bad. Second half he got a lot better. This year he's even improving on that. He's ranked as the 9th best pass blocking left tackle tackle in general in the NFL, which is great. Xavier McKinney.
The Jets draft him.
Yeah. Xavier McKinney has also looked really good in his rookie season. And looks like probably the starting safety for the future, which the Jets definitely don't have. And their interior defensive line is strong with Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence. So it's not all bad for the New York Giants. I just think the Jets just have a little bit more good young players with potential to be long-term starting players on their roster than the Giants do right now. It starts with Zach Wilson. Rookie quarterback, has shown flashes this year that he could be a potential franchise quarterback for them. The Giants don't have that on their roster. The Jets have AVT and Becton, who, God willing, Becton could hopefully come back. Just let me see you on the field, show you can healthy. It was a weird injury he got rolled up on with his knee. Like, that's just something to really, it's hard to stop that from ever happening. But I think their left side of their offensive line is going to be set for years to come. Elijah Moore has shown that he could be a potential wide receiver 1. Corey Davis, don't love the contract, but I'm okay with it. I think he's better than Kenny Golladay. I think he'd be a really good wide receiver 2. Michael Carter, steal in the 4th round, in my opinion. Bryce Hall, steal in the 5th round, in my opinion. And I think LaFleur, at least he's had his moments here and there. He's still really young too. He's like in his low 30s, he might be 32 years old. He's super young, going to be developing with this team as well. The defense, like the Giants, is not pretty. They need help just about everywhere outside of Quentin Williams and Bryce Hall. Michael Carter's had some moments here and there. Marcus May's a free agent. So I think the
Mosley's
Jets...
been pretty good for you guys also.
Mosley's had his moments. He can't cover as much as he once was able to.
Player.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I wish I see that on the field.
He's been okay.
No, he hasn't been that good.
He hasn't been that good.
No,
But
he's
the
a
Jets,
leader, though.
The Jets also have 2 potential top 10 picks as well. There's Seahawks might be a little bit out. We'll see where that ends up. But I think both teams, I think the Jets are in the right direction. I've been a big fan of Joe Douglas really since year 1. Didn't have a great draft the first year, but he had a couple guys with Becton and Bryce Hall. This year, the draft class has been much better. I have faith in the GM. I think... At least I have some faith in Zach Wilson that he could be the guy. Daniel Jones is not. And at the end of the day, if you don't have the quarterback, you don't have the head coach, you don't have the GM, you're in a really rough spot.
Listen, Joe Douglas missed in the 2020 draft.
On 70% of his picks.
Yeah. The only 2 ones are Mackay and Bryce Hall that he nailed. That's it.
Yeah.
He missed on basically all of them. He's like John Isdick,
he made it up for it in this draft.
Okay. We'll see. The Jets have 2.
No, he definitely hit this draft.
Yeah, bro. Where did he miss on?
Javian Sherwood.
What round? 5?
Hazma Nazardine.
If you miss on 5th and 6th round picks, okay.
Those are the money rounds right there.
Those are
where you find the hidden gems.
Yeah, but you need to hit on. We're so bad. We need to hit on the rounds 1, 2, and 3 first. I don't care. We'll worry about 5 and 6 later.
Everything, man.
Obviously, but
I feel
it's not going to happen.
The one that people are questioning the most is your first round pick right now.
It is. Easily, our first 4 picks. Zach is the biggest question.
Not I'm just saying.
AVT's looked really good. Elijah's looked really good. Michael Carter's looked really good.
Let's talk about the Jets and Giants right here. I don't want to get back with Joe Douglas, man. You know how I feel about. You know how I feel about that.
That's your boy.
Yes,
he's been doing his thing.
I've been on the Joe Douglas for a minute.
One of the better trades in recent memory.
Arguably the best trade in Jets history.
Okay, look, the Jets. We got 2 first rounders in 2022 this upcoming draft, 2 second rounders, 1 third, and 4 fourth rounders. So we're in pretty good shape when it comes to the draft. But the Giants are in good shape too. They have 2 first rounders, 1 second, 3 third rounders, and 2 fourth rounders. They're in good shape. When I look at the Jets' young core, I look at Zach, I look at Mike Carter, I look at Elijah Moore, AVT, who I call ADT, Mekhi Becton, Quentin Williams, Franklin Myers, who we gave a deal and he disappeared, Bryce Hall, Brandon Echols, Michael Carter II. But the Giants have equally just as good as a young core, but they have guys who are proven, right? Is Kadarius Toney better than Elijah Moore? I think he is.
I'm out. No, I'll take Elijah.
I think Kadarius,
Tony's more explosive.
I'll take Elijah.
Regardless, it's a toss-up in my opinion.
Man, that is tough.
Andrew Thomas or Mekhi Becton. That's a
Becton
toss-up.
can't stay healthy, man.
That's a toss-up. Andrew Thomas, because he can stay healthy. I'd pick him. Dexter Lawrence. I mean, this guy is as good as Franklin Myers. He's not as good as Quinnen, but Dexter Lawrence is really good. Azeez Ojulari. I mean, Azeez has had a pretty solid rookie season. He hasn't been exceptional, but he's had a solid one.
All right.
And Xavier McKinney. I'm not even mentioning guys who are part of their team for longer, like Leonard Williams is going to be there. They're getting Blake Martinez back next year. James Bradbury's still there. I mean, this Giants...
Jabril, God bless.
Jabril's still there. Then you look at their offense. I mean, you're so low on Kenny Galladay. To say that Corey Davis is better than him, I'm disgusted right now with you.
Kenny Galladay's not that good.
I'm disgusted with you right now saying Corey Davis is better than Kenny Galladay.
You're wiling.
What is Kenny Galladay? I mean, I know Corey Davis hasn't done much either, but...
Corey Davis is a first-round bust.
Okay.
Whoa.
He was a 5th pick in the draft.
Okay, yes.
But
he's a bust for what he should be. But
I don't care if he was a first-round pick.
So then Sammy Watkins a bust?
Bro, for where he was drafted, absolutely.
This is year 5 for Corey Davis. I don't care if he was drafted in the first round.
Mike Williams is trending that way, but he started trending
because who's been better? I mean, I guess you got to say.
I'm just saying, Kenny G is better than Corey Davis. Let's stop it. Corey Davis has not had 1,000-yard season yet, bro.
What did he do last year though?
984.
Give him a break.
Come on, Kenny G has 2.
I understand, but
and Kenny G did it in 2019 with 13 games. So Kenny G's better.
Detroit.
Okay, then you guys.
2019 is 3 years.
They have more weapons than the Jets. They have but even though Evan Ingram has been disappointing, they have more. They have better tight end than us. They just have more talent. They are a more complete team with more veterans, and they have a good combination of young players. I have to say the Giants. I think they're really just a quarterback away from being in the playoffs. That's just it. Daniel Jones is that guy who he's holding them back, but they're really just a quarterback away from being in the playoffs.
See, I can't agree with that sentiment that Daniel Jones the one they have.
What right, like Matt Stafford away? Sure.
All right, I'll say this.
But like Jimmy G away, no.
I'll say
Jimmy G away, they're fighting for that last wild card spot.
Their offensive line is still not good. Regardless of what Andrew Thomas is, when he's in and out of the lineup, the difference is major for sure. But outside of Andrew Thomas, Nate Soldier is one of the worst contracts in Giants history, probably. He's not been that good. Will Hernandez, a dude. Billy Price, Matt Skura. These guys are not good. This O-line's terrible, particularly in run blocking.
You're right.
Saquon Barkley cannot do anything out of the backfield. Daniel Jones, early in the season, when Tony was in, even though they weren't incorporating him, Sterling Shepard was in, Kenny Galladay was in, Saquon Barkley was healthy. Daniel Jones showed flashes of being a franchise guy. Then you see Sterling Shepard go out, who was his number 1 receiver at the time. Kenny G goes out. Tony in and out of the lineup. Saquon, ankle injury. Andrew Thomas out of the lineup.
But
and like he mentioned,
DJ hasn't been consistent.
And he had all that.
I'm not saying
the Giants had all that and started off 1-6.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but how many games were they in that they were very close? At that time, you could have argued that they were the best, worst team at that time.
Yeah, they lost by 2 touchdowns to y'all, a point to Washington, a field goal to Atlanta.
They got smacked to us. We smacked them.
They beat New Orleans in overtime, they got killed by Dallas, they got killed by the Rams.
Early in the season.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
To the Saints was a very good game.
They won in overtime, yes.
Washington, they should have won. They were offsides.
Yeah, that was a rough loss, definitely.
And that really makes... The Giants have been historically known for early in the season being very competitive, them not getting the benefit of the doubt in some situations, and it taking a toll for the entirety of the season. My concern and why this question is tough for me is because I need to see who the Giants bring in as their GM. Do I agree with what you're saying for sure? I look at the talent on both rosters. I lean Giants. I just think they have a little bit more firepower than you guys. But right now, I'm giving you guys on the managerial aspect.
I will say this. The Jets are a splash free agency away, which is very possible in this free agency period.
Projected $50 million. The Giants projected $4 million cap.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
We're one splash free agency away from having a brighter
Nate
future.
Soldier, Kenny Galladay. That's so much bread.
We signed Corey Davis to a big contract.
How much was that?
It wasn't as much as Kenny G.
I thought it wasn't,
but
50.
It was, yeah.
That's not horrible.
I know, but this is what I'm saying. I think in free agency, if we nail free agency, we'll be fine. And look, this is my dream offense for the Jets next year.
Please don't say who I think you're going to say.
Zach Wilson, Mike Carter, Corey Davis, Michael Gallup, Elijah Moore,
thank God.
Mekhi Becton, Elijah Vera Tucker.
Tape.
I want to draft Tyler Linderbaum, the center.
Yep.
He's the best graded interior offensive lineman in the draft. I want to draft him. Sign Brandon Scherf and then start Morgan Moses or George Fant at right tackle. If we do this, we're back. And if maybe with our second round pick, maybe Drake London falls because of his injury. 6'5", he would fit so beautifully with Zach.
And also, or possibly George Pickens, someone who tore his ACL, but coming into this class out of Georgia was very highly touted.
We are a splash free agency away from having a brighter future. You want to know why?
The defense would still suck.
You're right. It's not just. I'm fine with that. We'll fix the defense. Let's get this offense right with Zach. The biggest reason, though, why we couldn't have a brighter future after this offseason is because we got that man wearing number 2. We got Zach, the main man, Wilson. But Zach, I know you're not sold on him. Don't make that face.
I'm not, but I'm much more sold on him than Daniel Jones. I've been on record. Daniel Jones is not the guy for a while now.
I am not shy about who I think Zach Wilson is going to be. I think Zach Wilson is going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He's going to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL for sure one day.
I pray you're right.
Whether it's with the Jets, I'm not sure, but he's going to be one of those top guys, and everybody's going to see it. I know Jets fans have looked at this season and they're not hopeful. I'm hopeful.
Don't get me wrong. I'm hopeful as hell.
I know Zach is going to be
hopeful too many times.
I know Zach is
How
going to be
many
the guy.
off seasons have I said to you, yo, Jets could make, they got a decent roster. Not these last couple of years, unfortunately.
I was going to say, it's been a while.
We've seen it. Well, you guys did have a point in time where going into that season where Sam Darnold missed the 4 games with mono or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That really could have been the difference between you not making the playoffs and you making the playoffs. You guys have had some upper managerial, I wouldn't say.
McCaggan was terrible. Idzik was terrible.
Correct.
Gase was terrible.
Our GMs have not been good. I'll say this for the
Joe
Giants.
But Joe Douglas is actually putting you guys in a way better situation.
I'll say this for the Giants. They got to just draft Evan Neal or Ikem Ekwonu.
One of the tackles.
One of the tackles. They got to draft one of these guys, and I think that they'll have a pretty good offseason. But these teams are very similar in terms of where their trajectory is going. But the Jets, because they have more money and the same amount of draft capital, we can go further. We got that quarterback.
Those important positions, like not just on the football field, but having the quarterback, the Jets, I just trust Zach much more than Daniel. I trust Joe Douglas. They're going to have to bring in a new GM. I'm not sold on Joe Judge. They fired their offensive coordinator. Like, they just have so many more pieces to fill where the Jets, regardless if Saleh and all these guys work out, they have continuity now. They're going to be going.
Huge thing. That's a huge thing.
They're going to be going into year 2 all together, a whole offseason together. That matters a ton, especially like you said, we have a $50 million cap room, 2 top 10 picks, just like the Giants, but still a much more flexibility in terms of being able to sign free agents. That matters a ton because I don't think Joe Judge. I don't think he's going to be the guy. I think they're going to hire GM this time next year. They're going to be firing Joe Judge, looking for a head coach. So you have a rookie head coach. You can probably have a new quarterback next year. So it's just there's going to be so much more going on in the organization.
A couple episodes ago, I gave you guys a statement. And you guys weren't fond of it for some reason. I don't know why.
We spoke about why we weren't fond of it.
I said the Lions were the best, worst team that I've ever seen. I posted it on TikTok, and I love that the TikTokers loved what I had to say.
Oh, they did.
They called you. They said, this guy's a vibe killer.
They said,
and you were like,
they said, I hate the white guy.
And then they said, I don't mess with the guy that says I don't want to talk about it. You were the guy that said I don't want to talk about it.
I did.
Well, now we're going to have to talk about it.
Fair enough.
The Detroit Lions, they've been playing really well this season, despite their record. They're in a lot of close games. Do you think the Lions are the best, worst team that you have ever seen? They're 2-11-1 currently. What do you think?
It's close. I actually, they might be. They're definitely up there. I have the 2019 Dolphins actually as being one of those best worst teams. They were 5-0. I know this is actually
this was
biased.
Flores' first year.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct. So this is when they got blown out week 1 against the Ravens. Minka Fitzpatrick came after the game.
Year.
He's like, trade me. I don't want to be a part of this. And
tank for Tua season.
Correct.
Yeah.
They went 5-11 that year. They were projected to be the worst team in the league. To get 5 wins was pretty miraculous. Ryan Fitzpatrick was serviceable. 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 3,500 yards. Receiving-wise, Devontae Parker was spectacular for them. He had 1,200 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns. Defensively, Baker was really solid for them. He led the team in tackles. That's really what they missed, truthfully. They Minka Fitzpatrick would have, imagine Minka on this team now, truthfully. That would be unbelievable.
Javon Holland's been amazing, though.
But Jerome Baker led the team in tackles. I believe he had 126 that year. They still had Xavier Howard on this team. As a whole, they had some decent pieces, but given the fact that they were supposed to be projected the worst team in the league, finishing 5-11, putting up the numbers that they did, this is one of the teams I really tried. So all you see is when you look up worst teams in the league, they just give you a list of the worst. So I just went off memory. This Dolphins team was supposed to be terrible, and they were pretty serviceable.
You want me to go?
Yes.
Okay, sure. It's a hard question because what qualifies a bad team? Like the Dolphins had 5 wins. Is that a bad team?
I would say under like 3 wins.
Okay, it was tough for me.
It is. Listen, the Dolphins or Lions fans, if you're seeing this, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, I'm not a Lions hater by any means. I think they're a pretty good team. They're, for what they are record-wise, they're not bad. Like you said, they've been competitive. They've really only had like 4 games they've been blown out. Week 2 in Green Bay, what are you going to do? Week 6 against Cincy, another really good team. Week 8 against Philly, they lost 44-6. That's the one that really stands out. Like, bro. And then Denver, week 14, they also got killed. But again, in Denver, tough defense, tough environment. But other than that, they've won 2 of their last 3, and 4 of their losses have only been by one possession. So, overall, they've been a pretty good team for, a team that only has 2 wins. And when I look at, like, their personnel, I don't think they're in the worst spot ever, right? I definitely think there's teams that probably have worse personnel with them. Offensively, I think they have a pretty damn good offensive line. Taylor Decker is really solid. Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow also got. I believe he's been out. But he's been out. But
Jonah Jackson
overall has been a really elite center.
Injuries the Lions had to deal with.
And at running back, DeAndre Swift's one of the better running backs in the NFL. He kind of reminds me of like an Alvin Kamara light. He's a phenomenal pass catcher. Not as good as a runner, but he has breakaway ability to make those big plays. Their receivers are really bad. Outside, Amon-Ra has had some moments.
I like him.
Yeah, I do too.
I like him a lot.
I do too. But they have some personnel, and defensively, they haven't been good. That's one part I will say. They really haven't been good defensively, but kind of like how we talked about the Jets, like let's figure out the offense. I think they stick with Jared Goff for another year. 2023, they have 2 first-round picks this year and in 2023. I think that's when they go after a quarterback, possibly a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud. I think Goff is the quarterback in 2022. But to answer your question, yeah, they're a pretty good bad team.
The Detroit Lions are the best, worst team that I've ever seen. And what they continue to do week in and week out is flat on amazing for me. What I see them do.
You are ridiculous, man.
The gut punches they take, the ability to get back up and keep swinging is something that has me in awe. It's remarkable.
They don't have a choice. They have to play every Sunday.
I'm a Jets fan.
What are they going to do, quit?
I'm a Jets fan. I see my team get blown out. I wish my team played with the heart that these Lions play with. They definitely roar. The Lions currently are 2-11-1. 5 of their games have been 1-score games. They lost to the Ravens on a 66-yard field goal, a record kick.
Insane.
But the goal kicker.
Yeah, he is. If you're gonna,
they lost that game. They lost to the Browns 10-13, 1-score game. They lost to the Bears on a last-second field goal, 16-14. They lost on Thanksgiving. Come on, man.
That's rude. That did hurt.
Versus the Vikings with 30. Versus the Vikings with 37 seconds left on Minnesota's own 18-yard line. The Vikings, led by Kirk Cousins, they drive 46 yards and kick a game-winning field goal with no time left. They lose that game. Lions play with heart. They play with passion, and that's a credit to Dan Campbell.
Agreed.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Dan Campbell is the real-life Ted Lasso. And if you've ever seen Ted Lasso, you know why I say that. This year is a foundational year for the Detroit Lions, but they're building up something special. Whenever you go into a rebuild, whenever your team is bad, these are the things organizations are hoping for. You're hoping you hired the right coach, first off, and you're hoping you nailed your draft picks. The Lions, they nailed Penei Sewell. That was a great draft pick. And I think they nailed the coach and Dan Campbell. I think he's going to change around the Lions organization. I really believe that. They have draft capital for the future. They have 2 first-round picks this draft and next draft because of the Matthew Stafford trade. And they have some building blocks. Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, Julian Okwara, Jonah Jackson. I mean, they got some building blocks on defense. Trey Flowers, Romeo Okwara, who's been injured this season. They got some guys that can build around. This roster still has to be filled out. But kind of like that 2019 Dolphins team, you give Dan Campbell a competitive, a bad, but a roster with heart, he's going to win 5 games. The Lions, they're the best, worst team I've ever seen. They deserve a lot of credit, and the Lions are trending up right now. I'm buying stock into Detroit Lions.
Okay, so this time next year, Jets, Giants, Lions. Who's the best team?
That's a good question, man.
Going with the Jets.
I'm going with the Jets, too.
They got Zach Wilson.
I don't know how to answer this. I might go Detroit.
You look at Jared Goff, too. Jared Goff, he was written off, man.
He hasn't been bad.
He was written off.
Yeah, facts.
Jared Goff was casted as the problem, and now he goes to Detroit. Rough start. For sure. But Dan Campbell, notice this. He's able to call Jared Goff out and say he has to play better. Jared Goff starts playing better. He's been playing better as of recently. And this guy's he's been an okay quarterback this year. This is somebody that everybody calls the scrub.
Yeah.
And there's actually there's this guy on Twitter. His name is Computer Cowboy. And what he does is that he has like a bunch of stats and charts that measure things, but he measured the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford tracker to see how much of an upgrade Stafford is. And currently, Stafford is playing at 2017 Goff level. So he's playing at the same level as 2017
Goff was amazing
Goff.
that year.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was.
So, I mean, Goff regressed mightily since then.
I know. And actually, in primetime games, Stafford plays like that, the version of Goff we don't like.
And that's statistically proven?
Yes, by the charts. Yes.
By the charts.
Yes.
Okay.
By Computer Cowboy on Twitter. Okay. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think these Lions, man, I like them a lot. And I think Dan Campbell, he's going to change around the culture in Detroit for sure.
Yeah, definitely a culture setter. Hopefully Saleh could do the same thing.
Yeah. You don't look too happy right there, man. You look like you look upset that we're giving the Lions some love.
Nah, I love the Lions, man. Shout out Detroit. Yeah.
I can't say
I love DeAndre Swift. You should know. I love DeAndre Swift.
I do know that.
It's my dog.
And I wasn't high on Swift given the fact that I didn't think they were going to give him opportunity, but then they came to their senses, realized he's
their
amazing.
Best offensive player,
correct,
for sure.
We've been talking about a lot of bad teams.
A lot. Let's keep it going. Why not?
We're going to keep it going. We talked about the Jets, the Giants, the Lions. Now we're going to talk about the Jaguars. They fired Urban Meyer.
Thank God.
Coincidentally, right after our show that we recorded, he got fired right after, so we didn't get to react to it. But instead of reacting to what happened, because everybody's done that already, who do you want to see coach the Jaguars next season?
There's 3 guys that stick out to me, and you might have named 1 or 2 of these the last time we talked. The first one is Jim Caldwell. I think kind of similar to Dan Campbell, a culture setter, someone who's, been around the league for a long time, going to be respected in the locker room, someone who was in, a bad situation. Well, I guess when he was in Detroit, he had Stafford, so it wasn't like it was a bad team. But in Indiana and Detroit, he was 62-50. He had 3 10-win seasons. He went 11-5 his first year in Detroit. That's very impressive. Even if you do have a good team as a rookie head coach, being able to come in and get double-digit wins. But more than anything, I just want a new culture setter in Jacksonville. Urban Meyer culture wasn't in his vocabulary. He had no idea how to set, respect players. Players didn't respect him. He was out going at bars. We discussed all of it. We don't have to get into it. So his resume speaks for itself. He went 24-8 with Peyton, led the Colts to Super Bowl appearance. The resume is great, but what he brings as a leader, that's really what I think. What I think the Jaguars are going to need. The second name that pops out to me is Eric Bieniemy.
Okay.
Bieniemy's been someone who's been around the coaching, the head coaching hires for years now. He's had interviews. I know there's been rumors out there that he's not the best interviewer. For whatever reason, he just hasn't been able to get a head coaching job. But as the primary play caller, I know he has all the weapons in the world. He has Andy Reid. He has Mahomes. But with all the best weapons in the world and all of that, he's doing what's expected. Chiefs have the most points per game, most yards per game, and the best record since 2018. I forgot to put the year, but I want to say it was since 2018, since Mahomes, really took over. So not only, does his resume speak for itself statistically, but he's been learning under Andy Reid since 2013. He knows how a championship team should be constructed. Again, the culture. He knows how it should be built. And Reed's coaching tree has been pretty good. I mean, you have John Harbaugh, Ron Rivera, Sean McDermott. Those are the three that really highlight the bunch. All of those guys respected. All of them who've had great success, gone to Super Bowls. So I really think he's, not only a culture setter, but players seem to like him too. I know Deshaun Watson was someone who they wanted the Texans to interview. The Texans, being the Texans, didn't interview him, went in a different direction. And the last person that came to mind was Byron Leftwich. Not only because it comes full circle, the 7th overall pick for the Jaguars, he was
a 5th.
5th?
No, I'm playing.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't know why. But yeah, former 7th overall pick by the Jags. He was pretty solid for them, as a player, but it'd just be really cool for him to come back and, a young head coach in Jacksonville, being able to learn under Bruce Arians for all these years. Someone who is a quarterback coach like Arians, another one who's going to bring culture to the locker room. Players are going to relate to him. Players are going to respect him. I think it's going to be great for Trevor Lawrence, too. So those are the 3 names that stick out.
So I went a little bit outside the box, given the fact that I don't think this coach will be having a job next season. And this is Pete Carroll. I don't think that he will be the coach of the Seattle Seahawks next season. And I think that it would be a pretty good fit for him to come take over in the Jaguars. Whether he wants to do that or not, that's up to him. I don't know if that's what he wants. But if I'm the Jaguars, I try and make it my priority to go and bring this guy in. Now, offensively, I feel like if I'm the Jaguars, my main priority would be developing Trevor Lawrence. I want to bring in someone who I know can have success or has proven success in the league, can take an offense and make them a top 10 offense in the league, which he did with Russell. People can say, like me, that Russell is the reason why Pete Carroll was in such a great position. The reason why they won that Super Bowl was because of their defense, which is fair. But that defense got bad, and that offense only got better. And I'm going to give a little bit of credit to Pete Carroll, but I feel like the number one thing of why I want Pete to come in is because I want Trevor to have a coach that is going to instill confidence in him. And there is no better coach, arguably right now, that is going to instill confidence into a player that is going to be available than Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is I wouldn't say, because I do think Pete Carroll's a little bit overrated, but I feel like you just need to put him in a position with the head coaches that are going to be available this offseason. I don't love any of them to put my faith in them to develop Trevor Lawrence. We've seen Pete Carroll do it with a quarterback that was not nearly as highly regarded coming in with Russell Wilson. Now you give him a guy in Trevor Lawrence who has all the potential in the world to be a potential top 5. Listen, they're saying that he's the greatest prospect of all time. There should be no reason why I can't project him to be a future top 5 quarterback. From what he's shown me this year, it's going to take a huge stride next year to get him on that trajectory. But given the fact that it is his rookie year, I'm going to cut him the benefit of the doubt. A potential top 5 quarterback in this league, you bring in a guy, Pete Carroll, that could just change him around in that head office. And I think it's possible that Pete Carroll could do that for Trevor Lawrence.
I have 3 names here. You mentioned one of them. You mentioned 2, actually. Byron Leftwich. I think he makes sense because he was drafted by the Jaguars with the 7th overall pick. He has some friends within that organization. But then again, I look at the Jaguars and just this is just my my gut feeling. I drafted this guy and he became a bust. Why am I gonna bring him in as head coach? That's just my evil thinking right there. But he was drafted in 2003. He was there for 4 years. He only lasted there for 4 years, so he was a bust. And he got beat out by David Garrard, who was
pretty good.
He was pretty good. I'm not saying he was good. I'm just saying, come on, you're the 7th overall pick. You shouldn't get beat out. Then after that, he really didn't do much. He didn't really get another opportunity anywhere else. But he was a Cardinals quarterback coach in 17 and 18. He's been the Bucs OC in 19 and 21. Kind of like Eric Bieniemy, he has that against him, though, that the Bucs are stacked. I mean, are you not supposed to have a good offense with Brady, Godwin, Evans, Gronkowski, and AB and all the other guys they have? Like, you're supposed to have a great offense. How is Leftwich going to look when he doesn't have a top offense? How is he going to look in Jacksonville? We don't know that. I only like him because he used to play quarterback, so that's going to be beneficial for Trevor Lawrence. Then I look at Jim Caldwell. He has a track record as a head coach, 62 and 50, 14 and 2 his first season, lost in the Super Bowl against Drew Brees, then 10 and 6 the very next year. Then his third year in Indianapolis, he went 2 and 14, but that's because Payne was hurt the entire year, and they were tanking for Andrew Luck, and then they fired him after that year. I thought that was a bit unfair. Then as a Lions head coach, he he has 3 winning seasons out of the 4 he was there. He gets fired because 9-7 wasn't good enough for the Lions. And with Patricia, they won 14 games in his tenure. And they were thinking 9-7 wasn't good enough. So when I look at Jim Caldwell, he finished top 10 in yards offensively 2 out of his 9 years coaching. He finished top 10 in points 4 times out of 9 years, and he finished top 10 in passing offense 4 times. That's okay. Then the other candidate I have is Doug Peterson.
Interesting.
This is one that's a bit tricky because Doug Peterson is 42-37-1 as a head coach. He's won a Super Bowl, but he had a really good staff. Frank Reich was there, who he gets a lot of credit for Carson Wentz's development. And as an OC, he only ranked top 10 in yards once in 8 years. He finished top 10 in points 3 times. He finished top 10 in passing once. And the biggest mystery of them all, why was he fired from Philly? Why did Philly move off from him? Why did Carson Wentz regress under Doug Peterson? If I'm Jacksonville, I look at what he did and what he did to Wentz, and I kind of want him to stay away from Lawrence.
Yeah.
And I think Lawrence and Wentz are very similar players. And that was my pro comparison for Lawrence. So out of these coaches, I look at Caldwell, I look at Leftwich, I look at Peterson. Caldwell would be the no-brainer hire for me if he was younger. But he's 66 years old. He would be the 5th oldest head coach in the NFL. That's really old. How many years am I going to get out of this guy? Maybe like 5 if he lasts that long?
Yeah.
Leftwich is 41. So he can grow. If he pans out, he will grow together with Lawrence. Peterson is 53. He has time to grow with Lawrence. So, I think best case scenario, if I'm Byron Leftwich, if I'm the Jaguars, okay, we want you to be our head coach, but we want your staff to be compromised of guys who've been head coaches.
Yep.
We want Jim Caldwell on your staff. So I think Byron Leftwich makes the most sense because of his offensive resume, his connection to Jacksonville, and just because he played quarterback, I think that's going to help Lawrence tremendously.
For sure.
But they're all risks. None of these guys are no-brainer hires. That
doesn't really exist, though.
I thought Mike McCarthy was a no-brainer hire for me when he went to Dallas, yeah.
Oh.
But I actually wanted him to go to the Giants. But I thought he was a no-brainer
But even
hire.
still, looking back on it, I guess Dak was hurt last year, and this year they were playing pretty well, but it's not like he's been a home run, I would say.
The number 2 seed in the NFC. Give him a break.
That's fair. Let's see what they do in the playoffs.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think they'll be pretty good in the playoffs. We'll see.
And
See.
last year,
as a
though,
pretender.
there was a lot of
said
talk about
50-50.
McCarthy.
I said they're pretenders.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think if I'm the Jaguars, if I'm the Jaguars, I'm probably going after Byron Leftwich. But Jim Caldwell to me makes the most sense. It's just his age is kind of making me weary.
I just think they need a culture setter so bad that I don't really care that much about his age. You know what I'm saying? Just get someone in there who's going to turn the organization around, who's going to put trust and confidence in Trev. And if he really pans out, and 5 years from now you're like, we have this great head coach, but he's 71, deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah, I guess that makes some sense. Damn, that's an old head coach though.
Yeah, 66 is old.
It is.
That's old.
Yeah,
You
that
said
is
the
old.
5th oldest.
Who's older than him?
Pete Carroll's
Pete
actually
Carroll,
older.
yeah.
Really?
Pete
Yeah.
Carroll's older.
Bill Belichick, Bruce Arians.
Look at the names we're rattling off, to be fair.
Yeah,
Pete
they're
Carroll
great.
is old as hell. Bill Belichick 69, Bruce Arians 69, Dave Culley on the Texans is 66.
Yeah, that's who I was forgetting. Yeah, Dave Culley.
There we go, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's possible. We'll see what happens. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Pick a Side Podcast.
Yes, sir.
This was episode 139. You can follow us on Twitter and on TikTok at Pick a Side Pod on Twitter, Pick a Side Podcast on TikTok and on Instagram. And thank you guys for listening and or watching. And we'll see you next time.